Let's say 6.5.
Okay, chat. Not on the camera. I'm going to leave the camera off, but I'm going to, I'll turn the logo on. I'm going to leave this thing running. I'm in a trade. I got 100 lots. I've done a regular standard deviation type of thing.
Probably want to go a little bit
Put my take profit in at VWAP. And I got my low of day as my stop loss. I am underwater right now. I think I'm going to just buy 100 more.
Got 10 contracts.
How much can I go up to? Let me ask AI. 500. I don't want to do that.
Well, the accounts I have now have not been traded, so I'm good. I am good on these accounts. Good and good.
I'll do it. What the heck? We're just doing this for the show today. We're going to let it ride.
Sorry about that.
We're going to let it ride. See if we can't catch that run. We're going to win, lose, draw.
Get this all set up.
Obviously, everybody should know watching the videos that this is our paper account.
So here's the ATM.
Trading the paper accounts today. Not because we decided to do our intraday trades, but because today, look it up on the 28th January 2026. Ninja Trader, Trader Date, all the prop firms, everybody's having problems. As soon as the market opened, I traded in the pre-market and made $3,470 on my normal brokerage account, and then it as soon as the market opened, the DOM's locked. Everybody's DOM's locked, and so you couldn't get in and out. Anyway, go watch those videos from this morning. I've tinkered with it. I said, the show must go on. I can still sit here and teach them how to trade or show him what I do. I'll show you guys what I do. This is not advice, entertainment, education only. Yeah, 30,000. I'll take it. We're going to let it roll and just see what happens. And I'll explain this in another video. We'll let this go. I got to run to my Wednesday luncheons. And FOMC's coming out, so I'm trying to get ahead of it for funsies. I wish I could put my own account out there. I will be trading my own account. The Ninja Trade account's working fine on my cell phone, so I will be doing that later on the cell phone. And then we will go from there. I don't know where Tim got out, I guess.
25 ticks still.
That was up to 30, 40 grand. Let's see what happens here. I want to DCA in a little bit. My paper account has $15 million in it. I started it last January. I started it January. You go back and watch some of those videos early. I started it, with 50,000 January 1 or so, right there, first week of, I think I got back from skiing or whatever, but the first week of January 2025, and I said I'm going to let it run until I bust, and I have not bust. I made a lot of videos with this little account. I got to 15,706,000, so I can afford to lose 500,000. And I have found that as you can afford to lose more, you make more. So we're going to let it run. I will have some fun. Let's take it up to 5,000 lots. See what FOMC does. I'm still only putting whatever at risk.
In case.
Go ahead and do buy.
We shall see. I do need to put the bar countdown timer on this screen.
1,000. There you go, chat. 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. We'll go back over here and do add people.
Bar timer.
Get Tim back in here.
Up there, bottom right. Let's see. That way we can see as we're starting to get close to when the news will come out. So we gotta think about this. The copier is set up for all accounts.
All right, everybody's got the copier. I'll let you listen to Mike Schwartz. He's got the copier set up for everything.
All 20 of those bad boys.
You got 20 accounts set up to Albatross. I love it.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
That's right.
TradeAvate's working right now, though.
TradeAvate's back up. Cool.
MFF says it's all okay, so.
Yeah, it wasn't okay.
I'm going to swing it.
All
we'll
right,
see what happens.
See you guys after. Let's see what happens.
I don't know. We're going to find out.
We're not going to watch him, though. We're going to watch our account. There's our account. We'll see what happens.
So. Now, I know if you already have an infected account, it probably makes sense if.
Let me put that up
there. It says no new positions you tried. Let me go see. I got one of these accounts I can try it on. Let's go see. Okay. It won't let me. That is effed up.
It's down.
Yeah,
They've been down all day. That's why we're on our paper count. Duh.
Wow, that's messed up.
But hey, guys, trading straight up, I did make $16,040.
That is.
And then I did one crazy DCA where I was betting 100 contracts. We won't count that. But betting like my normal account, $16,040.
So I just bought those accounts today just for this.
DG6.
That's gonna take me off.
So 500, 1,000, 2,500, 5,000, 10,000. And then DG6 is 15,000. That's 2 days in a row.
I can trade the MFF account.
Yesterday was on my normal broker account.
TPT, you can't trade
better, and I had a DG7. So watch the videos from yesterday. Let's have fun here.
FOMC we have no other red 4 items. I just don't want us passing. That's what it is. Actually, let's do this. Let's go look. What else we got? That's not going to be enough for that. Yeah, look, and the sale ends. PMI probably won't be enough for it either. Nah, I wanted to YOLO them. I wanted to YOLO those trades. Silver margins just doubled a few minutes ago. Let's go look at silver. Man, I'm so upset with that. Silver's actually going down here a little bit. I mean, a little bit. It's still up 6.5% for the day. Man, they're taking all the fun out of it. T-Mobile's having issues too. That really upsets me. Hey, Paulie won't let me. Hey, Paulie won't let you trade. He won't do it. No, I didn't try one of the fresh Apex accounts. Yeah, I'm going to try one of the fresh ones. See, it was just one of the older ones. Let me see. See if I get the same error message. I'm jonesing. I want to do it. Here, I'll just do a limit order so it doesn't feel way down here. Yeah, it won't let me do it. Even the new account, same stupid message. So I guess we're not going to be YOLO in the Apex accounts. Man, that is so garbage. The sale ends on the 4th. That really ticks me off. I wouldn't have bought all those accounts today. I would have waited. Man. I was all ready to go too. Well, hey, just for fun, since we can't do it that way, let's do it for fun. Let's see if it would have worked. Oh, that's gonna really irritate me probably. So let's see if it would have worked. Let me deselect all these accounts. We'll just run it in Sim. Okay, so we'll use Sim. And what's the other one? Oh yeah, Sim Apex. There we go. Okay, on. All right, so hey, we'll run it in the Sim and see what would have happened. Yeah, you could do a bracket order above it, but the way I was gonna do it works pretty darn good. That really ticks me off. So look, we're gonna do the fade feature. Fade. I'm gonna fade the one.
What are you doing with this?
Hey, you there?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm trading. Let's see what happens. I got my stop loss at a standard 2 deviation. So that's your so look, deviation 1, deviation 2. So I got two deviation stop loss.
3,000.
I'm trading a change of character. So CHOC.
just in case we get
2,000
slippage.
contracts.
Hey, we're gonna run it like that.
I'm 600. I'm 580 to the good right now.
Yeah, so we'll just run it. We'll do it for fun. See what would have happened.
I got my
So
take
someone will
profit
count.
at
We'll
the
gonna
bottom
take
of
it.
my
We'll see what the
VWAP.
other one does.
And I'm letting you listen to
Yeah, that's
Mike.
what just
I want
happened
you
to
to
me. I
go
just
over to
checked.
Mike. I'm going to take
I was
you just
gonna
below
full
VWAP
port
case
20
we look
accounts.
up there.
And
Four,
Apex
so
has
there
a
it goes.
block.
My profit's bigger than my loss, so I'm good. All right, so do this. Go to Mike Schwartz. Go here. He's going to trade
Since he has
FMOC.
intraday margin
me
of
turn that
$100
down.
for micro gold,
They're albatrossing.
for micro copper.
So they're going to put 10 accounts
silver,
on each
400.
side of the FOMC meeting. What you can do if you want to make
Nice.
some money is just use 10. How much can you bet? 5 with the restriction
So-
today? 5, I think.
Yeah, I had like 4,500.
we shall see. We'll see where it all.
Then you
So
can bet
Sim
more
102
than
has
that.
not taken any trades, and neither
10
has.
is considered
which I can make
one,
this
so
window
you could
smaller
probably
now.
do 5.
Okay.
So what I would do
And
is you're going to use
I used to
Bookmaps.
trade out of
Tighten-
this Sim
put your
Apex
Bookmaps
account
like
for all
we
my
normally
Apex
do
accounts.
it. And just
So
remember,
we're gonna have this
when
one
the news
reverse
first
it. We'll
comes
see if
out,
it
it
would've
may
passed.
spike one way, but you'll
We're gonna see if it
know
would have passed.
the direction it's going to go
I guess
for
this
like
will
a
be a
massive
practice
amount
run.
of points will be the second
Why not try on Lucid
15
Pro?
or 30 second candle. So I'd watch
I
15
didn't buy
seconds
any
on one
Lucid accounts
side,
yet.
30 seconds
I don't
on
know.
the
Hold on, let's go
other,
look at that.
and expect the initial spike to be not the direction it wants to
Lucid,
go.
the Lucid accounts are
It
going to cost a
doesn't
little bit
matter
more
about
money.
the news, Tim.
Apex accounts are
if
only
you're
19
watching the
bucks.
news and not the charts, you'll
Let's
miss
go
the
look
move.
at that real
okay?
quick.
This is just
Let's
knowing
go
the
see.
time it's going to be
Lucid.
announced and watching the chart.
Right.
And that's how they do it.
No, I
But
had the
watch Mike
Lucid.
and see what they say.
really like
They're a
the
little more
Lucid Flex
conservative
accounts.
than I am.
Okay.
But Mike is trading the news, and I'll watch it best I can.
Hey, but you know
it's
what?
Gonna be
The
fucking
Lucid
fun. And I have my paper
Pro
account.
is-
I've been
oh,
trading
wait,
my
that was a
paper account because I
25K
can't
account.
get in. You can listen to them. People still can't get in. They're still in trades from this morning. They wouldn't close.
What's his last name?
Schwartz.
Mike.
Lucid
Schwartz.
Pro.
Mike Schwartz. SWARTZ. There
Oh,
he
hey,
is
it
on my
has a daily
screen.
loss limit. Hey, so the pros have a daily loss limit.
Yes, we
That's
all
not gonna
have
work.
daily loss limits. Damn it! I lost 100 grand talking to you.
Yeah, new highs in gold.
What?
It went down 100. Hey, buddy. All right,
See the
I'm all
VIX
dressed
coming
ready to
on
go.
down?
I just wanted you to see that. You can watch
All right.
mine. I'll leave
Yeah,
mine
new
up.
all-time
And you
high in
watch
gold.
Schwartz. And don't
Yeah,
be
but the
afraid.
Flex, you have,
this is the time you use Bookmaps
You have a consistency
to
rule,
catch,
so you can't
catch
do that.
runner. Okay.
Okay.
That's why the
Not for
platforms
10
have
or
these rules
15
in
bucks.
place.
I mean, get out of it.
And you
goes
can only
against
trade
you.
4
Just don't
minis.
take the first
Can't
first
trade 10.
print.
So you need
Watch
a much
Mike.
larger
Follow
move.
along with Mike, and
For that
just
to work.
remember
So that
he's
doesn't
not
make sense
using
for
the
me to-
pulse. He's old school.
Those
He's
accounts I'm
using
just going to trade
Renkos.
normally.
And so you-
I got him on right
So I'm
now.
probably
Yeah,
gonna buy
you'll wait like
5 Flex
15
accounts
seconds
tonight.
and let whatever shake out. And then and by the way, if there's not a declared direction
So I gotta buy
instantly that's
5
going
Flex
crazy,
tonight.
just don't trade.
Okay.
All right, but this
I guess I'll go
Mike
ahead
can
and
make it
activate
all
my
right here.
Apex accounts tonight, my 10 of them tonight.
I'll see you later.
And then,
Bye.
Bye.
I don't know, I want to full port those other ones. Wow, gold's still going. Hey, the new contract in gold is at 53.47. New all-time highs. 48. $1 million drawdown. My dad just, I don't think my dad was realizing there's FOMC coming up. He's like, hey, is there a problem with Apex? He's trying to place a trade and he can't. He keeps getting an error message. That's probably for the better. I don't think he remembers his FOMC today. That'd be crazy. You don't know what's coming out there. Poof. Like, oh my goodness. Let's see if I can do this. I'm gonna go back over and look at the policies tonight, but my thought process is on the Lucid, I'm gonna go back with a Flex account. Wow, gold's still getting it. Gold's at 54 right now. Hey, the new gold contract's even higher. The new gold contract hit 55, I think. 54.9. I want to be able to hear this when it comes out.
How are we looking? I'm going to head out.
New
700.
Ninja.
Come on, baby. 700.
Ninja, I just go
on,
MGC 04-26
All right, I'll see you later.
or GC 04-26. If we look right over here, we'll be on the J contract for the month of April. You can see already, let's refresh this. Look how much more volume there is on the April contract. 323,000 versus 96,000. Clearly time to roll over by the volume. Clearly time. Okay, let's see. Man, I can't believe I'm not going to be able to trade. That is so jacked up. Hey, all the other Apex accounts I bought before is right when the government shut down. Same old, same old. I bought those to do a red folder item too. Maybe I'll just hold them. Maybe I'll just hold on to them. And wait for the next red folder item. Why can I not find? Oh, there it is. They changed it. All right. Hey, Raphael, I can't trade them. Apex has it locked out where you can't trade them. Hold on. Trying to make sure I get my sound up. Let's just see. Let's just see. Hey, can you guys hear anything playing right now? Yeah, nobody can trade it into Apex accounts right now. They have it locked down because of all the problems they had today. Look, there's gold still. New contract just hit 60? 60.7. 53, 60.7. Oof. Nah, I doubt that. It's just problems they had out there. Hey, because there's no guarantee I would have passed. I could have failed them all. So, hey, maybe it's a good thing I can't trade them. Maybe. I am curious. What's the next major news event? Let's go look in February. ISM. Gold. ADP. I really don't want to wait that long. Non-farm employment change, the 6th. Let's see when CPI is. I can wait till the 11th. I don't want to wait that long. Hey, you can trade them? I can't trade. I just tried. Oh, hey, hold on. Let me log. We might not be done yet. We might not be done yet. Oh, crap. Oh, I did shut the copier off on that one. Hold up. You guys might be right. Hold on. Let me disconnect. Disconnect. Reconnect. We're going to find out. Let's see. I'm going to try it. I hope you didn't get my hopes up for nothing. Nope, still can't. I still get the error message. So it doesn't work for me. So I'm trying to remember how I... How did I make it where you guys can hear it? Oh, let's try this. Desktop audio. I think this is how we did it. Yeah, I'm gonna have it set up. All right. All right. All right. I'll turn that on as we get closer. You can delete the connection from NinjaTrader, then set it up. Nah, that's not gonna help it. Deleting the connection and reestablish, that's not gonna work. That's just gonna be more work for nothing. Man, that really stinks. Man, that really irritates me. I would have waited. I would have waited to probably purchase those accounts. Because the next major red folder item we have is going to be NFP. So I could trade my funded futures, but can't trade because of the news of the account that I have. I could trade Tradeify. I can't trade Take Profit Trader because they have a news rule. I can trade during the Fed, but probably not gonna do that. After the day today, I think I'll wait. Man, gold was not playing. Blew all 3 evals today. Oh man, that stinks. Yeah, I blew up. 32 accounts last night. Funded accounts. Woo. 32 funded. Yeah, 1 minute before, during, and after for TPT. But I'm not looking to trade Take Profit Trader around the news. I would not do this with a funded account, or what I was going to do, I would not do with a funded account. It was only going to be for Tradeify stopped again. Hey, Jesse, it won't let you. It gives you an error message. If I try to trade the Apex, I get an error message. Here, let me see. What does it say again? It says auto liquidate 5,000.1% affected order. I've never even traded this account. Hey, so I had the My Funded Futures accounts. I could have requested payouts, but watch that money just go up in flames. Gold took it. Gold took it last night. So what we're going to do is we're going to simulate what we would have done. All right. Coulda, woulda, should have in this environment. Now I am going to I guess I should put a stop loss on this. So, hey, I'm going to I'm going to change this ATM. That way we can see if this would have been stopped out or not. Our stop loss is going to be $2,500. That's 5 points, right? Let's just say 2,500 divided by 5. 100 times 4. That'd be 20. All right, so let's see. Let's see if I would have been stopped out. We're going to do it in a sim account. Yeah, that's what it's essentially going to do, Thomas. So the guy that showed me, he does this. Sometimes he's been able to pass 2. Sometimes it wicks real quick. And it doesn't register a loss and he passes both. I said, there's no way. He showed me though. I seen it with my own eyes. I've only did it the one time on stream. I put a video out where we recorded it. I did it that one time only. So we'll do it here in sim account. Man, they really jacked me up with that outage today. That's messed up. Trading gold. Anybody trading minis right now, you're gonna get slaughtered in gold. I got micros on gold from this morning. Put one on and I added one when we went up a little bit. I've been down quite a bit on it too. I think right now I'm almost at break even. Yeah, almost at break even. So. Yeah, gold's having a pretty good run down right now. But just getting ready to run again. We shall see. Like I said, we're going to listen to Jay Powell's press conference when it comes out. I was going to run 10. I can't trade the Apex accounts, so they're locked. They won't allow it. I was going to. So you guys in the chat told me, oh, you can't trade the Apex. It's like, oh, sure we can. I tried it. It won't let it. It gives you an error message. Apex shut it down for the remainder of the day. So I hope they add a day credit to my accounts. I hope they add me a day credit. So Apex works for you now. I keep trying it. You guys keep getting me suckered in to try it. It does not. I did place a trade on Apex earlier, but it doesn't work now. Watch, I'm gonna do it right now. Oh crap, it does. Hey, Apex is working right now. I thought you were joking. We might be back in business, boys and girls. Oh boy, you want some drama? Here we go. It's back. All right, we don't know. We're gonna either do it in Sim or we're gonna do it in Apex accounts. Which one's it gonna be? Oh boy, they're both Sim 102. So it's like, which copier do I have turned on? I gotta keep this straight. So right now I only have make sure I have all the accounts locked and loaded. Hey, if I can, we're gonna load this up. We already have it all set up to go. The fresh 20 Apex accounts. We're gonna full port. I'm gonna try. We're gonna see if we can get it. If the order will go out there. Let's see. I could lose them all too. Just know that. They can all go up in a big ball of flame. So I know that ahead of time. So thankfully they are cheap. You know, $19 account. So whoa! I don't know. Hey Jesse, that would be the worst case scenario. Oh, hey, I gotta rechange this. Oh, I gotta rechange the ATM again. we're gonna make the stop. I want the stop so big that either they auto liquidate the account or the accounts pass. Oh man, I'm excited again. Woo! Get some fireworks going. Oh man, oh man. Oh hey, I just saw a message. Hey, trading halt has been removed. Trading has resumed. That's for Apex. Trading has been resumed. Nah, we're not doing micros, Raphael. We're doing minis. Full port, 10 contracts. It'll be 200 contracts I'm about to put on. Because why put a stop loss on at all? Because I can't do an ATM with just the target. I won't be able to get out there that quick. I don't know. I know when I wake up in the morning and I have a renewal, it's already been out there. Jesse has the disclaimer out there. Do not follow Mike. Just because he's going to jump off a cliff doesn't mean you should go do it. Come on, Jesse, you gotta live a little. Let me just count these up again. We gotta go back over. We gotta make sure. My whole 200 simulated contracts is gonna get the biggest candle out there. Watch, 200 contracts. The market goes, Boop. Doesn't even move. Yeah. We're gonna do it. We are gonna do it. I don't know if I'm gonna go long or short. What do you guys think? Long or short? Here's all 20. Let's just count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, I don't got to count right up here. 21. That counts the leader account. Let's make sure I got 10 of them on the fade. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 of them are going to fade me. 10 of them are going to go with me. Now, hey, sim accounts. So the eval accounts will never move the market. The big hedge funds aren't looking saying, ooh, where do we got all these guys that bought these $19 accounts? They're not looking. Our orders don't hit the books. Hey, BK, if I get all 20, I'm going to be upset. I do not want to get all 20 accounts passed. I only want to get 10 of them passed. They already have 10 passed on the sideline. And that way I'll just cancel out the other. I'll have 20 accounts. I'm not doing 3 micros. I'm going full port, baby. All or nothing. We're going to burn this bad boy down. If I blow them up, well, then I'll rebuy them tonight. I'll rebuy 10 of them tonight and trade them the right way. So, in my mind, I've already locked in. There's a chance that I lose all 20. And I've accepted that risk. There's a chance that they all go. Now, entertainment value is going to be short-lived. We're going to say, all right, get ready. Boom. Oh, okay. Oh, there you go. I'm all done. We're done. No, they're all 50K accounts. And I'm going to be doing it on the S&P 500. We have about 22 minutes left. Can't wait. Well, hey, so what I did with the copier, so the copier should, as long as I turned it on properly, the copier should automatically, if any of the accounts hit $3,000, $3,050, it should automatically liquidate the position. Do I have a profit goal in that account? Ooh, I don't want that. I don't need that. Turn that off. Hold on, I don't need that. Let me get rid of that. Yeah, I don't need that. So we should be all good. Like I said, I'll pull up you guys can see the copier up when we go to place the trade. We do have the bar countdown timer right down here. So I'm going to be looking to time the entry. Try to use an OCO order. Well, hey, so on my copier, here's one of the things I do. If you guys want to check out the copier, which the prices are going to be going up soon, and they are going to be adding a feature some of you guys have asked for. I reached out to them and they said, you know what? That's a great idea. They're going to be incorporating it. I don't want to give it out what it is yet, but if you guys trade with Apex, I think you're going to like this feature quite a bit. If you've ever had a problem with the MAE rule, you're going to love it. But if you guys want to check out that copier, right there is the link for it. I don't know. Hey, sometimes the FOMC can be a dud. Hey, so what would kill me today? What kills this strategy today? If it's a dud, if we do not move one direction, if we go, ooh, it'll kill it. They'll be busted. We'll bust all 20 accounts. That's why really CPI has been the best for this type of strategy. We watched them and marked it off. So, yeah, so Apex has it all back up and going now. So I like it. Yeah, gold's dumping down. Gold is dumping down pretty good off the high, but still, it's way up there. Again, we'll see if Jay Powell talks it back down or, talks gold up. I don't know. Gold, in my opinion, is deflationary. I mean, you got these metals up like stupid amounts of money. I really hate to have to look at this screen. I want to, but look at this. Look, if we even look from this low right here, back in October, from October to the current high, that's only 36%. Yes, that's not too bad for gold. 36%. Silver though, good night. Look at silver back on the lows on October. Silver went up 157%. Craziness. Yeah, hey, I'm glad that Apex got things back up too. So all the prop firms that I trade with, they're limited now. I only got Big Profit Trader, Apex. I do have one My Funded Futures. And I think with the My Funded Futures, you guys didn't check out the video on my second channel. Shame, 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 shame. I'll drop a link here. It just dropped today. You want to check out this video. This is gonna be the account that let's see. Where oops. No, let me go back there. Let me go back. Wrong channel. Well, this is gonna be the account that I'm probably gonna go ahead and purchase these accounts. I'm pretty pumped about them. If I can ever get the link. Yeah, Raj, that's what I'm trying to do. Oh, why won't let me copy the link? Come on. Share. YouTube won't let me copy the link. Oh, maybe I can just do this. Let's try this. Does that work? Let's see if it works. It does. Their new accounts, I like it. I like the new account with My Funded Futures a lot. That's probably gonna be the account that I choose. And I think I can get 5 of those accounts. So that solves the other problem I've had. I wanted 40 accounts. I was at 38 for a while. Until last night. And Q's been steady dipping lower. I don't know. We've had some big moves. It's going to be interesting to see what Jay Powell has to say today. Is he going to come out hawkish or dovish? We shall see. We shall see. Hey, so I almost thought the full port wasn't going to happen. We went ahead and set up the copier onto the sim accounts just to simulate and see how it would have played out. And somebody came in the chat and said, hey, it's working again. At first, I thought people were joking around saying, it's not, you can't trade it. I was like, yeah, you can watch. Boop. Nope. They had it locked down. So we are back live and in action. They had to make sure they get the accounts turned back on before the FOMC so we can all blow them up. So at least the Apex accounts are cheap. $19.70 for 25K to 100K accounts. So it's worth some entertainment value. Yeah, gold's going down here a little bit. I'm up on my gold trade. So not up a whole lot on it. I'm up a little bit. So I'm hoping Jay Powell gets gold really cranking to the downside. I like where that's at. I don't want to get any bigger size on that until way after the Fed comes out. If I even do then. We got like 15 minutes, less than 15 minutes until the full port. We're gonna have 200 contracts across all those accounts. Can't wait, can't wait. Let's go, let's go. Full port, baby. And again, what I'm gonna do in this, if I do end up passing the accounts, this is not a strategy you can trade once you're funded at all. And in most prop firms, that strategy won't even work because of consistency rules and stuff for the evaluation and the contract size they allow. Apex allows you a high contract size. That's why you can make this work more often than in other prop firms. Yeah, so far the TradeAvate issues have been resolved. It was funny this morning. I was like, I'm having TradeAvate issues. I'm like, mine's fine. I see my numbers still moving. And then I realized, I couldn't get out my trade. So Oh well. I set off a big fireworks. Oh man, I love fireworks. I didn't get to shoot mine off at New Year's. We have a fire ban. Been too dry. I was a little upset. Love playing with fireworks. Fireworks, fire, all fun stuff. We got to be careful. Let's see. Hey, so what do you guys think? Let's do a poll real quick. Pop or drop at the open? What do you guys think? What's it going to be? I said at the open. What in the world? Hold on. We got to get rid of that. It's not the open. What am I doing? See, I'm already full ported out there. There we go. So you used to doing pop or drop at the open. I'm like pumped up. I'm all jacked up. All right, there we go. Now we got the pull out there. What about slippage? You could get slippage. Watch, you'll see. That's why I'm going to pay close attention to the time down here. Notice I put the bar countdown timer on the screen down here. I'm on a 1 minute candle. Don't matter if it's 1 minute, 5 minute. That's really irrelevant. Just got to double check all the copier features. Make sure it's all systems go. I think we're all set to go. Make sure I have the right account. 102, 102. All right. And go ahead and close out the other window. We're locked and loaded. Ready to go. Oh, hey, that's in Ninja Trader, Paul. It's an indicator inside of Ninja. If anybody has Ninja, right there, bar countdown timer. You see it right there. Right there. Everybody has it in their Ninja. So then you can anticipate right when the bar is going to close. So I have it on my other charts. That is one other indicator I have on the charts that you guys don't normally see. But you see it when I move this window over. Like when I move this window right here over, if you guys ever looked, it's always been at the bottom. Yippee-ki-yay. Let's see. I'm very, very excited. For the full port. Full port is the only way. So we got less than 10 minutes. Less than 10 minutes. This could be in remembrance of the accounts lost last night. Oh, man. Oh, it's getting hot in here. It's getting hot in here. Let me turn down the AC a little bit. Got the AC off because it was a little chilly out this morning. Then we might actually get snow over the weekend. I'm not emotional. Look, worst case scenario, I lose, what, $400? I've lost more than that on trades so many times, it's not even funny. So. Oh, man. Yeah, I didn't rebuy the Lucid accounts yet. I'm going to buy those tonight. I'm pretty confident I'm going to get back into the Flex accounts. Freezing in West Palm. Yeah, it's a little chilly. Hey, BK, right now, And for Florida in the summer or in the afternoon, it's 57 degrees. That's cold out here. That's a snow day for us. But we don't go outside. I gotta make sure I pay attention to the time. Nah, I don't know if there is or not. There might be. There might have been some people out. I don't know. I don't think there's waves today. Should go look. Just pull it up here. Oops. Let's go see if there were waves. I don't think so. No, there's no waves. Pretty. I don't know. There is a little bit. I don't see anybody out though. It's not really rideable. It's too small. I remember one time we went to New York. That water is cold. Well, how y'all swim in that mess? Oh. I think the market will drop for the FOMC, then rebound. Hey, so what do you think we should do? Long or short? That's really what the poll should have been. All right, hold on. I'm gonna end that poll. See what you guys think. Hold on. Let's just get the consensus out here. Long or short for the full port trade? What do you guys think? Long or short? What's it gonna be? Come on, I need some help out there. Hey, not necessarily. You can still fail all 20 accounts by doing it. You can still fail all 20. The guy that told me he does this all the time, he has failed. He says it's rare, but it has happened. He's also passed all 20 before, which doesn't even make logical sense, but I gotta start getting, I want to be able to listen to when it's gonna come out. Where'd that go? All right. I'll see you. Everybody said long or short for the full port. We've been down quite a bit already. I would prefer to get it right on the direction. My ATM strategy? Oh, that's crazy. I got a 2,000 tick stop loss and a 26 tick take profit. Right there. So either the account's going to blow or it's going to pass. No skill in this whatsoever. All luck. And we'll see if we end up blowing all 20. Will we blow all 20 accounts or not? Yeah, I'll be sharing the audio when Jay Powell speaks. No, I don't. Because look what I have in place. It should kick in. So the copier I have, once it knows the account's funded, it should kick it out. Now, if it happens really quick, that could be a problem. You know, it might be too quick for it to capture it. That would suck. But we'll see. Imagine if he hikes rates. Oh, man. I don't think they're going to hike rates. I'm doing the ES. Day2 Trader, ES. We got about 3.5 minutes. $128 tick. I don't know, man. That's a lot. That's a lot more than what I have to make. Now remember, so if this happens, if we go, comes out and just goes, counts are done. They're all going to blow. All the accounts will get blown up. I'll lose them all. Oh, let's go. I just hope I don't get slipped on the entry. That's going to suck. I don't know, man. I don't want to know. Are we going to go long or short? You guys are saying long. You guys are saying long. I don't know if you guys are baiting me into a loss or not. And again, it's a gamble. Nobody knows which way it's going to go. Let's see. Let's see if we blow them all up or not. I can't show the regression channel rapid. I'm going to do it on this chart right here. I don't have time to mess with that right now. Yeah, hey, FOMC is not the best red folder item to do this on. That's what scares me about it. And look, I'm going to be focused right down here as we get close. Yeah, buy on the ES, sell on the NQ. Raj, don't you dare speak that into existence. All right, I'm going to get ready to close down the poll. Closing down the poll. You guys voted long. I don't know if I want to go long or not. I got to watch it. You guys said long, so I'm going to go with what you guys said. It might go down. Oh, crap. Yeah, by popular vote. My account's right in your guys' hands. I want to make sure I'm going to get filled ahead of time. Oh, crap. Let's see. It ends up being a dud, I think. It's a dud. It's a dud. Oh, my goodness. That is what I did not want to see. Come on, let's get it cooking. Come on, get it, get it, get it, get it, get it, get it, get it. All right, some of the accounts already got stopped out. Keep on going. God, usually it's like fast. Come on, keep going. Come on. Don't go down. Oh. Oh man, I think I'm gonna lose them all. It doesn't have the push to get up there. I'm gonna lose them all. See, we didn't get the fast push. That's the problem. We're gonna lose them all. Boom, boom, boom. So close too. There they go. All of them gone. Blew them all up. See, we didn't get the fast move. That's what I said. We have to have the fast move to get up and out. We didn't get it. Therefore, kaboom. It's all good. I do it ahead of time. Watch it go down now. I had it maxed out, 10 contracts. So, did not work. Hey, it got me that time. It is what it is. What really sucks is I gotta go buy all those accounts again tonight. So, look, now it's gonna go down. See, that's why you want like CPI. CPI, when it comes out, is fast. You look at the CPI reports, is this is why I said would be the killer of the strategy. If it just tinkers around a little bit. That's exactly what happened. So, all right, so we can get rid of that. Copy her off here. There we go. So we'll bring Powell on here in just a little bit. So that's kind of a dud. That's exactly what I did not want to see happen. So you need a volatility event. I was hoping that was going to be it, but that was not it. Really, CPI is the best one to do that on. One order at 610. Oh, we're still kind of stuck in this area. Now, I am kind of curious. That definitely would have got it. And I wonder if I would have waited. If I would have went short. Oh, no, that's not the right candle. Hold on. Right there. I wonder if I would have got a little bit better of an entry. No, it didn't go up enough. It didn't go up enough. No, there's no bookmap sound. Because I'm going to put on Jay Powell when he comes on. So we have no bookmap sound for the moment. We'll see what Jay Powell gets the market doing. Man, that kind of stinks. And look, we're still kind of stuck in this area. Powell says, Powell says rate cuts will halt until commodities come down. Unemployment rate has shown some signs of stabilization. Jay Powell will probably get our markets moving for sure. I would think Jay Powell gets the markets moving. But yeah, if I had the time, I'd go buy 10 more accounts. Just trade them during the Jay Powell speech. My stuff takes too long to buy. Oh. Okay. I'm trying to find where Jay Powell's speech is going to be. I don't see it yet. It takes a while to buy them accounts. Takes a little bit of time to buy them. How long did I spend this morning buying all these accounts? 20, 30 minutes? Yeah, I'm looking on YouTube right now. I don't see it. Let's see. And we're still just stuck in the same area. Yeah, maybe. Well, hey, Fast Track Trading had a fast way to buy them. You just put in 20 and check out. You see how that worked out? Yeah, you definitely blow a lot more accounts. For sure. All right, I see Powell now. I found it. So I'll bring Powell on as soon as he starts speaking. As soon as I see him. Hey, look, we're still stuck in that same area. Turn into a slot machine. All right, I can get rid of this. Maybe. We didn't move much on this statement. I really wish this would have been CPI day. I don't know. We had all the trade debate issues. That might have been a disaster as well. So. Gold's just staying down here too. I say staying down here, staying down this lower range for the last 30 minutes. Not at the lows of the day. Gold's still up 192 points. That's crazy. So gold 2 contracts. That'll probably be the same outcome. Watch them. Poof. Gone. Yeah, we got the markets trying to bounce up here a little bit. Trying to bounce back up. Let's go over here and look at the regression channel. Still slightly sloping downward. I'll probably wait till Jay Powell comes out to place any more trades. I wonder if I can cancel those accounts now. Maybe I'll wait to cancel those accounts until I convert the other ones over into PAs. Make sure I don't cancel the wrong accounts. That would suck. That would make me upset. Bonds are getting killed. So let's see if the dollar moved at all. Dollar went up a little bit more. Hey, look, the cash market got over that 7,000 today. You bought 6 more? Man, you're gonna make me go buy some more. We have to bust out the credit card again. Yeah, see, that's what I'm worried about. Somebody, hey, I wouldn't even have thought about me canceling out the PA, but somebody this morning just talked about that too. They cancel out a PA account. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I got enough stuff going wrong right now. I don't need to do that. If you cancel the PA, I think you lose. It's done. I would think. I don't know. I don't want to take a chance. I got 10 of them about to slide in, so tomorrow I'll have 10 more PA accounts again. We got about 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Till Jay Powell comes out. Hey, Raphael, I blew up all 20 of them. We didn't get enough movement. All 20 blew up. We got close. I think I was up like 2,000 something. But we just didn't get enough of a push here. Look, you figure I got in probably about right here. It ran up about 5.25 points. Actually, let's go see. Let's go see how many points I was actually up. Oh, they got split fill too. Hey, so the best accounts. Can't see because of the writing. Hold on. All right, so if we look right here, the worst account was up 5.25 points. The best account was probably up 5.5. We needed 6 points. Now, I should have just closed it up there, Jesse. Because what you really want with that type of trade, you want it fast. Boom. To the point. We didn't get that. That was one of my fears with the FOMC. I wasn't really sure that would... It was what it was, though. I'm not even upset about it. Just simply didn't work this time. Yeah, I take at least 2K, but that is what it is. Because usually it happens so quick you don't even see it. It's like, and then that's it. Happens quick when it works. Gold's going back up. Gold is on the move. We'll see what Powell has to come out and say. Hey, look, the NASDAQ did trade all the way through this area today. Get rid of that. Clean up the charts here a little bit. And the FOMC is not one of the best red folder items to do it on. So I think the last time it didn't work out was what, June or July when we looked this morning. So I need to tell Apex, I need my money back. They wouldn't let me close out the trade. I was trying to get out when I was up $2,000. How dare they not let me take my trade off? Nah, it was all my fault. I'm not even upset about it. Not even upset. I would try it again. Yeah, hey, you can trade the press conference with Take Profit Trader. You're free and clear to trade the press conference. Whoa, 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 whoa. I'm deleting the video now. Video's been deleted. The video has been scrubbed from the internet. It's on your machine. It will self-destruct in 10, 9, 8, 7. Yeah, I mean, I could do 5, but I didn't really. Hey, I was willing to YOLO some trades on that. So I could, tonight when I go to activate the accounts, I have 20 accounts. I already have 10 on the sidelines that are going to go in the night because I failed. I blew up all the PAs last night. So it's all good. I took a shot. It didn't work. I'm not even upset about it. Like I knew before I put that trade on. One, it was the FOMC, so I was a little bit, maybe it'll work, maybe not. And there's a good chance I could lose all the accounts. So because I was willing to accept that outcome ahead of time, it's not that big of a deal. Now, he's not speaking yet. We got about 15 minutes. Nah, gold's at 53.32 right now. It popped back up off the low a little bit. No, I effed around and found out. Yesterday, last night, today. Let's see. 30 minutes early. Yeah, I'll see if the ES hit the P point from yesterday. I think the NASDAQ. No, NASDAQ. Yeah, NASDAQ did not yet. So I have a little bit more to go, and the NASDAQ hit the P point down here. Yesterday, I don't believe it hit the P point either. Yeah, it did not. That's 2 days back to back so far. So I have a little bit more time on. We'll see what J Powell does. I am kind of curious. Something we haven't looked at in a while. It's starting to steepen a little bit again. Ah, you joker. I tried to get in. Did not fill me. I tried. Did not fill me. We do have a little bit of liquidity down here in the NASDAQ. 26,100. Can we make it down there? Use market orders? No, I don't want to get slipped. They would have filled me way down here, Jesse. I'd be instantly underwater. I used to only use market orders for the longest time. I closed it. I almost took a full loss. I might have saved a couple ticks on that at best. Yeah, I don't know how the simulation takes care of that. We have Powell coming out like 10 minutes. 10-ish minutes. I use the close button sometimes. So my hotkey, when I close it out, I have a hotkey that's essentially like hitting the close button right up there on the chart trader. So. Control space? Ah, it's too many buttons. Should bind it to one button. Dang, I almost shorted it.
Down this trading trail where the green fields grow. Watch your profits bloom like the morning glow. Steady hands on the wheel, let the market sing. Day trading country, chasing that winning rain.
Oh yeah, hey, don't forget, after the bell, we have big earnings coming out today as well. Let's not forget about that. So we're not done. At 4 o'clock, the market's not done. Come on. Come on down. Come on, break it a little bit more. Ah. Come on. I almost closed it when I was up 230. I would have got back where I lost in the last trade, plus a little bit more in the piggy bank. Should have. Especially when we got Powell coming out here in a freaking few moments. $6 p.m. open candles could be, I don't know, it could be pretty crazy. We got a lot of earnings after the bell. Look, we have Microsoft, Meta, Tesla, Lam, IBM, all after the bell today. Man, I should have took that off down there. I closed it. It was up 230 and I closed it out for a loss. That's bad right there. That's bad trading. That's bad trading. Self-sabotage? Maybe. I'm going to bring Jay Powell on as soon as he comes out to speak. We'll see what Jay Powell's going to do to the markets. Dang it. I went long the MES. I meant to go long the ES. I just closed it. That sucks. Yeah, market tries right now, trying to. I was long on the MES. I meant to do the ES, but I went long on the MES. I closed it out. I wanted to be in the ES. I wasn't just going to flip my orders right over to ES. Probably should wait till Jay Powell starts talking before trading anymore. He's going to sink the markets? Maybe. I don't know. We're going to find out here in a few moments. Yeah, Apex you can trade all the way through the news. No problem. That's in a funded or a valuation account. Now, what you can't do at Apex, you can't bracket the order. So if you're in a funded account, don't bracket it. You'll get dinged for that. But if you're already in a trade or you have a normal trade setup, you can take it. Well, the dollar's already up pretty good today. We've seen Besant come out today trying to defend the dollar. Look, dollar's still going up. And look, gold is not giving it up. Gold came down a little bit from that high, but gold's still pretty high up here. VIX is still up 17 cents, but on the move down. So equities and gold should give it up soon. Should and actual could be two different things. How is the stop loss hunter? Maybe. No. No, Powell's not speaking yet. We got about 4 minutes. I'm going to bring Powell in. As soon as Powell starts speaking, I'm going to pipe him in for you guys. I'm just trying to make sure I don't get hit with they play music in the beginning. I don't get hit with a copyright strike. So I'm just waiting. Hurry up and wait. I gotta wait. Find myself wanting to get back when I lost already. I gotta stop. I gotta stop. Stop it. Can't try or in this range. Pal should be talking here in about 2 minutes. Actually, less than 2 minutes. $40 seconds. It's going to explode, maybe. We didn't get much movement. It might be a dud FOMC today. Blow the wick on the ES. Let's go look. $146 contracts down here at 95. We don't have a whole lot of liquidity. 69.70 we have a little bit of liquidity, not 197 or so. Nothing crazy. All right, Jay Powell should be speaking here in a moment. Oh, let's go. Let's go. Holy crap. Hey, Jay Powell's on. I'm going to bring him on in a second. Let's take one off. Puts me back at session highs. All right, Jay Powell's gonna be on here in a second. Let me get rid of. All right, he's not on yet. I see the room all lit up. Oh, here he comes. Here he comes. Oops. There we go. Let's see what he has to say.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My colleagues and I remain squarely focused on achieving our dual mandate goals of maximum employment and stable prices for the benefit of the American people. The U.S. economy expanded at a solid pace last year and is coming into 2026.
Can you guys tell what color tie that is? Right back up to on the ES.
Low, the unemployment rate has shown some signs of stabilization, and inflation remains somewhat elevated.
You guys can't see him.
In support of our goals, today the Federal Open Market Committee decided to leave our policy rate unchanged. Having lowered our policy rate by 75 basis points over the course of our previous 3 meetings, we see the current stance of monetary policy as appropriate to promote progress toward both our maximum employment and 2% inflation goals. I will have more to say about monetary policy after briefly reviewing economic developments.
There you go.
Available indicators suggest that economic activity has been expanding at a solid pace.
Hey, yes, it's ripping.
Consumer spending has been resilient, and business fixed
yes, ripping back up.
Continue to expand. In contrast, activity in the housing sector has remained weak.
Powell's pissed off.
The shutdown of the federal government likely weighed on economic activity last quarter, but these effects should be reversed as the reopening boosts growth this quarter. In the labor market, indicators suggest that conditions may be stabilizing after a period of gradual softening. The unemployment rate was 4.4% in December and has changed little in recent months. Job gains have remained low.
He does sound a little
non-farm payrolls declined
I don't know.
at an average pace of 22,000 per
Hey,
month.
Raj, I can hear what you're talking about in his voice a little bit.
Excluding government employment, private payrolls
At least I feel
rose
like it.
at an average pace of 29,000 per month. A good part of the slowing in the pace of job growth over the past year reflects a decline in the growth of
FU stocks, I'm hiking rates.
due to lower
Mic drop.
immigration
Bing.
and labor force participation, though labor demand
He does
has
seem a little
softened
irritated.
as well.
More in his voice, I think.
Openings, layoffs, hiring, and nominal wage growth.
We'll see how I answer some of these
in
questions.
recent months.
People start asking questions.
Inflation has eased significantly from its highs in mid-2022, but remains somewhat elevated relative to our 2% longer-run goal. Estimates based on the Consumer Price Index indicate that total PCE prices rose 2.9% over the 12 months ending in December, and that excluding the volatile food and energy categories, core PCE prices rose 3.0%. These elevated readings largely reflect inflation in the goods sector, which has been boosted by the effects of tariffs. In contrast,
I wonder if anybody asked you about being under investigation
continuing
today.
in the services sector. Near-term measures of inflation expectations have declined from last year's peaks, as reflected in both market and survey-based measures.
That'd be funny.
Most measures of longer-term expectations remain consistent with our 2% inflation goal. Our monetary policy actions are guided by our dual mandate to promote maximum employment and stable prices for the American people. At today's meeting, the committee decided to maintain the target range for the federal
Turn them up. Oh, let me see.
3.5 to 3.75%. Since
Hey,
last
how's that?
September, we've lowered our policy rate 75
Is that any
basis
louder?
points, or 3/4 of a percentage point, bringing it within a range of plausible estimates of neutral.
Oh, hey,
This
Raj, that's
normalization
interesting.
Of our policy stance should help stabilize the labor market, while
Hey, thanks for
allowing
giving me that
inflation
feedback,
to resume
Jesse.
its downward trend toward 2%.
I didn't realize it was
once the
too low.
effects of tariff increases have passed through. We are well positioned to determine the extent and timing of additional adjustments to our policy rate based on the incoming data, the evolving outlook, and the balance of risks.
Blah, blah, blah. Data dependent.
Monetary policy is not on a preset course, and we will make our decisions
Yeah, it's trying
on
to come
a
back down.
meeting basis. To conclude, the Fed has been assigned two goals for monetary policy: maximum employment and stable prices. We remain committed to supporting maximum employment, bringing inflation sustainably to our 2% goal, and keeping longer-term inflation expectations well anchored.
Yeah, gold and silver are stable
Our success
prices.
in delivering on these goals matters to all Americans.
That's stable.
We at the Fed will continue to do our jobs with objectivity, integrity, and a deep commitment to serve the American people. Thank you. I look forward to your questions.
Do you really look forward to it?
Hi, Chris Rugaber at Associated Press. Thank you. I wanted to ask that you attended the Supreme Court hearing last week on the Lisa Cook.
Oh, I thought it was
case,
gonna be about Jay
and
Powell.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent criticized that as political. Can you say why you attended and what you would say in response to the Secretary's criticism?
So let me start with, I don't respond to comments by other officials.
Let me start with, you
whoever they
son
may
of a
be. It's just
beep.
not appropriate to do that. I will tell you why I attended. I would say that that case is perhaps the most important legal case in the Fed's 113-year history. And as I thought about it, I thought it might be hard to explain why I didn't attend. In addition, Paul Volcker went to a Supreme Court case famously in, I guess, 1985 or so. So it's precedented, and I thought it was an appropriate thing, and I did it.
Great. And then just quickly follow on the job market. You mentioned last month that the household survey might be distorted, and you also mentioned the potential for overcounting jobs, which would suggest that we're still in a negative hiring pace. So do you see the drop in the unemployment rate as solid? And what's the basis for saying that things have stabilized? Thank you.
So, yeah, really two questions. One is, so we're getting through the
I wanna see somebody ask
distortions
about
in the
gold and
data from
silver.
the shutdown. However big they were in November, they're smaller in December. So we're getting to a place where they're no longer material. They're still there, but it's a tweak
693.94?
here and there. The reason why we changed the statement, let me pull it out, was simply, it used to say that judges that downside risks to employment rose in recent months. So we saw, data coming in which suggests some signs of stabilization. I wouldn't go too far with that, but some signs of stabilization. There are also some signs of continued cooling. And so we thought that was no longer an accurate description of the data. In addition, the outlook for economic activity has clearly improved since the last meeting, and that should matter for labor demand and for employment over time. So for those two reasons, we thought we would take that language out of the statement.
Nick Timrose, The Wall Street Journal. Chair Powell, you've generally avoided engaging with political controversies directly, and the video statement on January 11th was a departure. What made this different, and are you concerned it could draw the institution further into political debates?
So today I'm simply going to refer you to the statement that I made on January 11. I'm not going to expand on it or repeat it. So
Almost shorty right up in
this
here.
This is really about the press conference and the economy and what we did today. But
yeah, he's irritated.
Some ancillary areas, but I'm not going to be getting into that.
How's
Can you
irritated?
say whether the Fed has responded to the subpoenas?
I have nothing for you on that today.
Mike.
Michael McKee from Bloomberg Radio TV. Have you made a decision on whether you would remain as a governor of the Federal Reserve? And if so, would you tell us what it is? And if not, when might
Like, I can't
we
even ask this question without
anticipate a
laughing.
decision?
No, and I really, once again, have nothing for you on that today. That either.
Why would you want to leave it all under the circumstances?
Again, I don't want to get into this. It's not something I'm. There's a time and place for these questions, but not something I'm going to be getting into today. Thank you.
I want to see someone ask about gold and silver.
Claire Jones, Financial Times. Thanks a lot for taking my questions. In another one that might, lead to a similar answer. We've seen quite big movements in the dollar over recent days. What do you think is driving the U.S. currency lower? And have you been at all concerned just by the extent of the volatility we've seen this week? Thank you.
So, Claire, as you probably know, we don't comment on the dollar. Really, the administration, especially the Treasury Department, has the job of oversight over the currency and exchange rates and all that. We don't comment on that. It's not our role. So I have nothing for you.
But, what's your view on the
Wow, he has a lot of
movements?
nothing.
What do you think
I have
behind
nothing
them?
for
Is
you.
it
I have
asset
nothing for you.
managers
I have nothing for you.
diversifying? Is it?
Nothing for
Yeah,
you.
I just don't. We don't talk about the dollar. We don't talk about what moves it
Hey,
around.
we don't talk about that.
It's just not appropriate.
I
For
feel like
us
that
to do.
cartoon
So really,
my
the Treasury
daughter
Department
watched. We don't talk about
has
Bruno.
That it's their role, their bailiwick, and we stay off it. We do monetary policy and some other things, but we don't comment on the dollar. Sorry.
Neil.
Hi, Chair Powell. Neil Irwin with Axios. Obviously, no SEP in this meeting, but in light of the slight firming up of the language around growth in the labor market in the statement, should we assume that the timeline for any
it's starting
further
to go down a
rate
little
cuts is pushed back compared to what people might have thought in December?
Well, first of all, if you look at the incoming data since the last meeting,
Sell
clear
liquidity down at
improvement in the outlook for
26,100.
growth. The data have come in, and sentiment, the beige book, everything comes in suggesting that this year starts off on a solid footing for growth. Inflation performed about as expected, and as I mentioned, some of the labor market data came in suggesting, we're evidence of stabilization. So it's overall a stronger forecast, if that's your question. I'm not sure I answered your question.
But in terms of timing or pacing of any additional easing?
So we haven't made, what we'd say about this was that after this meeting, after the 3 recent rate cuts, we're well positioned to address the risks that we face on both sides of our dual
Man, I was thinking about shortening it.
and we'll continue to make our
I was thinking about
decisions
taking it short. I
meeting
didn't
by
do it,
meeting, based on the incoming data, the implications for and the outlook and the balance of risks. Haven't made any decisions about future meetings, but the economy is growing at a solid pace. The unemployment rate has been broadly stable, and inflation remains somewhat elevated. So we'll be looking to our goal variables and letting the data light the way for us.
Steve.
Steve Leisman, CNBC, and sticking with questions you might answer. Thank you.
Yeah, gold's on the move back
previously,
up.
I believe described the current policy rate being at the higher end of neutral. And if you look at the longer run, the S&P and the longer run rate, 16 of 19 officials are actually below there on their long run. Is the Fed still in a process of bringing it down towards a middle range of neutral? And what would it take to get there?
So the count I did was that 4 of the 19 were at or above that. And maybe I missed by one, but I thought it was 4. And if you look at the dealer survey, it was 10 out of 58 where we're at or above. So you're right. It's the higher end of the range. What we say is it's within the range of plausible estimates. This is the higher end of that range, but so for some people they think it's neutral. I want
to hear someone ask about gold.
My colleagues think it's hard to look at the incoming data and say that policy's significantly restrictive at this time. It may be sort of loosely neutral, or it may be somewhat restrictive.
Yeah, nobody knows.
Beholder, and of course, no one knows.
Nobody knows. You submitted it.
So, you had to follow up.
I get what you're saying, but some officials have described the Fed being in a mode of bringing it down eventually over time. Are you still in that mode, or is this a place to hang out?
Yeah, no, I would say if you look at the S&P from December, most people had additional
still going
normalization. Up. But at the same time, we've done a lot of the process of normalizing. A good piece of it is done with 75 basis points, and before that, 100. It's 175 basis points we've cut since we began cutting in September of 2024. So you've moved now to, the Fed funds is running just a little below 3.65%. So you've moved a good way, and we think we're well positioned here to watch how the economy performs, look at the data. We're not making decisions about future meetings, but we do think we're well positioned after those 3 cuts to let the data speak to us.
Amira. Thank you, Chair Powell. Amira Mokwe from Bloomberg News. To what extent did the committee discuss the possibility of cutting at this meeting or in March? And how are you all thinking about the conditions that would merit another rate cut? Is there broader?
We're not cutting as long as that SOB's in office.
So there was broad support on the committee for holding today. Broad, I would say, including among non-voters. So that's where that was. Of course, some people did want to cut and dissented, but committee pretty broadly for holding today. We're not trying to articulate a test for when to next cut or whether to cut at the next meeting. What we're saying is we're well positioned as we make decisions meeting by meeting, looking at the incoming data, evolving outlook, and all that. And we're in a position where we still have some tension between employment and inflation, but it's less than it was. I think that the upside risks to inflation and the downside risks to inflation have probably both diminished a bit. So, we'll be looking at that. It's about how you weigh the risks to the 2 goals and how big those, and quantify them. And so there are different views on the committee, and, we'll find our way forward as the data evolve.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Edward Lawrence.
Yeah, I agree with that,
Fox
Raj.
Business. Has the effects of tariffs already moved through the economy on prices?
A lot of it has. So basically, there are many different estimates, and they're all highly uncertain. But most of the overrun in goods prices is from tariffs.
No, they might rip this bad boy back up.
Because if it weren't from tariffs, it might mean it's from demand, and that's a harder problem to solve. We do think tariffs are likely to move through and be a one-time price increase. So most of the overshoot, if you were to take that out, inflation, core PCE inflation is running just a bit above 2%, ex the effects of tariffs on goods. And the other good news is, if you look away from goods and look at services, you do see ongoing disinflation in all the categories of services. So that's a healthy development. So that's what's going on. The expectation is that we will see the effects of,
I also want to ask about gold and silver.
Tariffs flowing through goods prices, peaking, and then starting to come down, assuming there are no new major tariff increases that are begun. And that's what we expect to see over the course of this year. If we see that, if we see that, that would be something that tells us that we can loosen policy. Also, if we see something that suggests that the labor market is not stabilizing, that in fact the downside risks reemerge or the data just get worse, we'd have to look at both of those. We have a two-sided mandate.
If I could, if President Trump does pick a new Fed chairman before May, what does that look like? How would you work with that person, and what does that transition period look like?
I don't have anything for you on that. That will depend on Congress.
Nice. Hey, Jesse, good job on that.
I can't speculate on.
Good job.
Howard Schneider with Reuters. Thank you for taking our questions. Given the changes in the statement and all you've said so far, is it fair to describe risks to both sides of the mandate as roughly balanced right now? And is the next move necessarily down?
I'd say that the upside risks to inflation and the downside risks to employment have diminished, but they still exist. So there's still some tension between the mandates. Are they fully in
mandate,
balance?
not Band-Aid?
Hard to say. And we think our policy's in a good place. I've just discussed reasons why we might change our policy, and we'll just have to see how the data lead us.
I'm wondering, you a minute ago you said you felt
gold's on the move back
were
up too.
consistent with your mandate, that the 2 and the 10-year break evens have moved quite notably in the last couple of weeks, I believe.
Weeks going down, dollar's trying to go down
on that front.
I mean, I recently looked at all of the both survey and market-based short-term inflation expectations have come way down. They were in a good place at the beginning of last year. They spiked around Liberation Day, and now they've fully retraced in the last few months. So that's very comforting. And the longer-term inflation expectations have remained in places that are very consistent with 2% inflation over time. So expectations have been solid, and they reflect confidence.
I thought we're trying to bounce up here.
In the return to 2% inflation.
Andrew.
Apologies if this is a little bit repetitive, but in the past you've said that the reason you cut rates was that the risk to the labor market was greater than the risk to the inflation side. Is that still true?
We haven't made. You're right. We saw the labor market weakening, and we acted. And I think that was the appropriate thing to do. We will always act to address what we see as the economy moving away from our goals. Risks to both of the variables are a little less. I think the upside risk to inflation, again, a little bit less, and the downside risk to employment, a little less. I just would say that I'm not making a judgment about how, one of them is more at risk than the other, just that the risks to both of them have diminished.
Okay, thanks. BIS wrote a paper last summer which concluded that global investors were hedging their dollar exposures in ways that previously they hadn't because of policy uncertainty. Do you agree with BIS?
We really don't see much at all about that whole story. There's just not a lot of data that suggests that there's much to that.
Yeah, Titus.
Thanks.
It's because I bought those 20 accounts earlier.
Anna Swanson with the New York Times.
$40 with gold exposure.
What you need to see in the labor market to conclude it's time to resume easing? Do you need to see further deterioration in the labor market, or would it be enough for inflation to soften?
So we'll always be looking at both things. And so there could be combinations, infinite numbers of combinations that would cause us to want to move. Certainly, a weakening labor market would be an argument for loosening. But what's happening with inflation? If inflation were at the same time getting worse, you just have a very difficult situation there. So we'll be looking at both. Clearly, a weakening
Can't believe
labor
nobody's
market
asked about
calls
gold or
for
silver
cutting.
yet.
A stronger labor market says that the rates are in a good place. We'll have to be making similar judgments too on inflation, though.
And if inflation does pick back up and the labor market doesn't show further signs of deterioration, is there a chance that you could raise rates rather than simply remaining on hold? What would you need to see to consider hiking?
We don't take things off the table, but it isn't anybody's base case right now. Anybody's base case that the next move will be a rate hike. But ultimately we'll do what we think is the right thing. But that's not where people's expectations are right now.
decent order up there on the ES.
Hi, Victoria Guida with Politico.
See if that's going to be a spoof
I
order.
wanted to ask, you've talked in the past about concerns about the U.S. fiscal trajectory, and we've seen in the
710 to
Japanese bond
711.
market a lot of turmoil recently, in part due to concerns over their fiscal and long-term economic outlook. So do you worry that the U.S. could at some point find itself in a similar situation to Japan, whether for fiscal or demographic reasons?
You know, over time, you've seen that U.S. rates have remained pretty, they haven't moved a lot, really for a while, but they haven't moved a lot because of what's been happening in Japan. So it's more of an over time thing. The U.S. federal budget deficit is, you know, uncontroversially on an unsustainable path. The level of debt is not unsustainable. It's very much sustainable, but the path is unsustainable. And the sooner we work on it, the better. But you know, right now we're running a very large deficit at essentially full employment, and so the fiscal picture needs to be addressed, and it's not really being addressed. So that's important. I'm not in any way connecting it to some sort of near-term market event, but ultimately it's something.
And the
we'll
fact
have to
that
deal
he
with.
even
And,
mentioned
you know, in the
near-term
end-
market
in the
event
end game,
means that's
where
already
we
in his
wind
head.
up is in some kind of a difficult.
He's already worried
that's-
about it.
That's not where we are. It's not where Japan is either, but it's certainly not where we are right now.
Does it reduce the effect of your rate cuts that longer-term rates have overall not really bumped that much?
$12 trillion
I
debt.
wouldn't say that. You know, the thing is, I mean, technically, higher longer-term rates means less accommodative financial conditions. But remember, many things move longer-term rates. It's not, and it's not mostly what happens on the short end. There can be effects of longer-term rates from our moving our policy around, but you know, it's much more, you know, assessments of the fiscal path and fiscal policies and risks and things like that that move the 10-year around. You can look back at and find periods where we've been very actively moving the policy rate over the course of a year, and over the course of that year, the 10-year is exactly where it started. So it's not, there's not a tight link between, you know, 10-year rates and the overnight rate.
Elizabeth. Thanks so much, Elizabeth Schulze with ABC News. Republican Senator Tom Tillis, who sits on the Senate Banking Committee, said he will block any Fed nominee, including the chair, until this investigation into you is resolved. Do you support this move by the senator, and what conversations have you had with the
we're
senator?
going higher.
I've got nothing for you on that.
More broadly, what would happen to American households if the Federal Reserve loses its ability to operate independent from politics?
So really, the point of
Now you're done?
independence is not to protect policymakers or
I
anything like that.
that
It
order on
just
book
is
map,
that
we already hit on the ES.
Every
They
advanced
pulled it before we
economy,
got there.
democracy in the world has come around to this.
Don't really have any
common
liquidity in the line of
practice.
sight.
It's just an institutional.
There's a little bit down there at
arrangement that
170
has
on the
served
NASDAQ.
people well, and that is to have a separation.
Right down here, but that's
between,
it.
To not have direct elected official control over the setting of monetary policy. And the reason is that monetary policy can be used, you know, through an election cycle to affect the economy in a way that will be politically worthwhile. So this isn't, I'm not talking about the U.S. context, this is every advanced economy democracy of any size. So it's a good practice. It's pretty much everywhere among countries that look at all like the United States. And I think if you lose that, it's, first of all, it would be hard to restore the credibility of the institution if people lose their faith that we're making decisions, you know, only on the basis of our assessment of what's best for everyone, for the wide public, rather than trying to benefit one.
Book
group
map
or
don't want me
another.
to stream it the whole time.
If you lose that, it's going to be hard to retain it, and we haven't lost it. I don't believe we will. I certainly hope we won't. But it's very important, and the reason it's important is that it's enabled central banks generally not to be perfect, but to serve the public well.
You're confident it can maintain that independence at this point?
Yes. I mean, I'm strongly committed to that, and so are my colleagues.
Wow, they screwed me on that. They went right through my order, did not fill me.
Economist. On that sort of stabilization of the labour market question, how much do you see the weakening we saw over the past 6 months, year, as a kind of data mirage around immigration and the government shutdown and so on that's now resolved? Or how much have we seen a kind of
Hey,
real
gold's
underlying
still up.
firming
I think
in the
gold's-
state of the labour market, do you think?
Gold money just hit a new all-time high.
Part of it is, to your point, part of it just is that labor
not
supply,
yet, it's getting
growth
close.
in labor supply has come to essentially a halt from a fairly fast clip of growth over the last couple of years, driven by immigration, and then the halt being driven by a very sudden stop in immigration. So many outcomes were possible with that. Supply came way down. It turns out that demand for labor also came down a very similar amount, maybe just a little bit more, which is why the unemployment rate has gone up. So I don't know whether that's a coincidence or not, but that's what's happened with that part. But if you look at other
missed the NASDAQ
things, like, for example, just to pick a couple, the Conference Board's measure of job availability that came out, I don't know, was it yesterday or today?
I'm
But
curious.
it shows, it's a survey showing that workers feel like job availability it's a very low reading. Just one reading, but it's an indication of softening. People part-time for economic reasons, which is a category within the broader U6 category.
there goes new all-time highs, I believe.
Has moved up significantly. So there are lots of, and I could go on and on. There are lots of little places that
The all-time
suggest that
high is
labor market
gold.
has softened.
Gold up 4.81%.
But you're right. Part of payroll jobs softening
After
is
already
that
being up
both
quite a bit.
Supply and demand for labor has come down. Growth in those two have come down. So that makes it a difficult time to read the labor market. So imagine they both came down a lot to the point where there is no job growth. Is that full employment? In a sense, it is. If demand and supply are in balance, that you could say that's full employment. At the same time, do we really feel like that's a maximum employment economy? It's very challenging and quite unusual situation.
Thanks. And one more on growth and the kind of strong growth outlook, or strengthening growth outlook you're now seeing. How much of that is the fiscal stimulus we're seeing from the beautiful bill, the tax cuts, and all of that?
So you're seeing it already. You don't have much of the fiscal. I think the outlook, you're right. It's financial conditions, and it's fiscal policy for 26. But you've got strong consumption that's been happening before financial conditions have been supportive, but before the fiscal effects really are shown. So essentially, the economy has
Also want to ask about gold and silver.
Surprised us with its strength, not for the first time. And consumer spending
Still pretty
it's,
done
it's
FOMC
uneven
today.
across income categories, but consumer spending overall numbers are good, and we're benefiting from the AI build out of data centers. That's another thing we're benefiting from, but. The economy overall, the growth is on a solid footing. It looks like, and it's not just those things. It's just the consumer is filling out surveys that sound really negative and then spending. So there's been a disconnect for some time between downbeat surveys
data centers?
and reasonably good spending data.
Thanks, Chair Powell. Christine Romans from NBC News. You talked about how consumer spending is uneven. The president calls inflation defeated and solved. The FOMC says it's a somewhat elevated inflation. But you talked about those customer survey or those consumer sentiment surveys and public opinion polls that show that most families say the cost of living is still issue number one. What is the conversation around the table with your colleagues about how wealthier consumers seem to be driving so much of the economy?
Yeah, NQ did test VWAP and
why
rejected.
so many families still feel like they just can't make ends meet after 5 years of rising prices. What is that discussion like?
So a couple things. One,
that's a good
there's
point.
Something
That's a good point
to it in that
about
we
that.
know that higher income
Data center
households
spending dries up.
tend to own
No electricity.
real estate and tend to own stocks, securities.
I think
And
gold might
those
hit 5,400
assets have been
today.
Going up in value and increases
That
in
boy is
wealth
getting
do
it.
support spending over time. So. And that's clearly a part of the story.
Hey, Jesse, I heard
We
you're
also
done
know
quite a
that
bit.
for some time now, for a year or more. We've been.
Oh, this
hearing
FOMC
from,
day is horrible.
retailers,
I wanted a bigger
for example,
move.
that serve lower income customers, whether it be food or the big box stores or anything. They're saying the same thing, which is our consumers are looking to economize. They're trading down from brands and they're buying less and it's changing their buying habits and that kind of thing. So we're seeing that, and that is a reality of what we're seeing. They're still consuming, but they're feeling it in a different way. I would say more broadly, on affordability, we have a vast network through the Reserve Banks and also through the Board of Governors, where we talk to small and large businesses and households, and so we do hear a lot about affordability, and we take that very seriously, and we take it to heart, because our job is one of our jobs is price stability, and so the best thing we can do for people who are feeling that squeeze is to keep inflation under control, and frankly, to finish.
I can't believe nobody's asking him about gold or silver.
You mentioned the AI build out as being a positive for economic growth this year.
So garbage.
I wonder, as you look at the weakest year last year for job creation of a non-recession year since like 2003.
Oh, hey, Jesse, let's go look at it.
Are you concerned about AI maybe supplanting more entry-level work and entry-level jobs, and how does that play into what you're watching about the labor market?
So everyone, of course, is watching AI and the deployment and, trying to understand exactly what's happening. And there's a wide range of possibilities. It's hard to say. And of course, anyone who uses it is amazed at what it can accomplish.
Oh, there it goes.
So every technological wave will eliminate some jobs and create other jobs. And it's always been the case. If you look back, wave after wave after wave, there will be some disruption, but ultimately technology increases productivity, which is the basis for rising wages. And
let's go look at Jesse's report card.
But over time, it's what enables incomes to rise over time, is rising productivity.
Jesse killed it.
So we
2,000, 2,100-ish per account. Give it up, give it up. Good job.
We don't know. And we may, in any case, see in the short term jobs that are being eliminated by the capabilities of AI. We may see that. We just don't know what the overall effect is going to be. So how to think about it in macroeconomic terms, it's very hard. We can look at the aggregate data. We can analyze, for example,
hey, Tradeify is going to keep your green trades during the outage. Saw the email for that. So Tradeify, if you're green, you have to keep your profits. If you're red, they're going to reset it.
And AI, but it's not the main or only driver. You hear large companies, though, many of them saying that they either won't be hiring for some time, or that they're hiring less, or that they're laying people off, and they tend to refer to AI when they do that. So we're all watching and learning, and it could.
Who are you, a bot?
Pretty significant effects on the economy, the
workforce, Jesse's not a bot.
Society. We don't really have the tools to address the concerns that may arise, but we have a lot of people who focus on analyzing it.
I really
and
wish.
Try to understand what the macroeconomic implications are, which is our job.
Thank you, Chair Powell. Bai from AFP News Agency. You mentioned earlier that on inflation, the broad expectation was for a one-time price increase and then for inflation to come down. And I was wondering, is your expectation still for inflation to start cooling in the second half of 2026? And if you could elaborate how far we are from target currently. Thank you.
So how far we are from target is, as I mentioned in my
Nobody
opening
knows.
remarks, we had 3.0% core PCE inflation over the 12 months ending in December, and that's pretty much what we had the year before. So on net, no progress. But the story behind that is modestly positive in that most of the overshoot was in goods prices, which we think is related to tariffs, and ultimately we think those will not result in inflation as opposed to a one-time price increase. Okay, so that's where it is. In terms of, you asked, no one thinks they will,
not moving a whole lot.
ex ante understand really clearly, precisely when.
How many questions are for the
reporters'
reporter's benefit?
Expectation that sometime.
I know nobody's asking about gold or silver.
Of the year,
I wanted to hear somebody ask about gold or silver.
Tariff inflation.
Or gold and silver.
Out. So what we do is when a tariff is put in place, we track the effect of those tariffs.
Gold new all-time highs.
Over a
Silver
6, 7, 8, 9 month period, and you can see. And then you can see for that tariff.
Silver's on the move up, not quite there yet.
Reach a place where it's affected the price level.
Dollar's been coming down.
So we're getting better at that, and our estimate is that it'll be sometime in the middle of the year, but I wouldn't look for great precision in that. But we'll be able to see whether things are moving in that direction. I think we'll be able to see.
Golly. Gold's still making new all-time highs.
Thanks, Chair Powell. I'm Richard Escobedo with CBS News. I want to
Hey,
look
Richard.
outside the U.S. about what's happening outside our shores and how it impacts the U.S. Canada's Prime Minister said last week that there's been a rupture in the global order, and I wonder how you're thinking about geopolitical risk as it relates to the U.S. economy.
All right. Hit target
So
on that.
I can't comment on that speech or statement or anything like that. You know, geopolitical risk for us is, a lot of it is around energy, oil. And so far we haven't, you know, for all the turmoil, oil prices have come down.
Oh, nice. $600
so we
more?
don't really see much.
You'll be there in no time.
Longer
Congrats.
than that, it's
Take it slow and steady.
and,
Don't go
the trade,
full porting.
Our economy has pulled through pretty well, you'd have to say, given the very significant changes in trade policy. The U.S. economy has pushed right through. Partly that is that the way that what was implemented was significantly less than what was announced at the beginning. In addition, other countries didn't retaliate, and in addition, a good part of it hasn't been passed through to consumers yet. It's being taken by companies that stand between the consumer and the exporter. So that's where that is.
Jennifer. Thank you, Chair Powell. Jennifer Schonberger with Yahoo Finance. With third quarter GDP growing at 4.4% and the fourth quarter expected to have a 5 handle on it, as
Yeah,
to
hey,
what
you
the
can trade
Fed is
TPT
predicting.
while Powell's
At a
speaking right
time
now.
when
That's
you had a
fine.
government shutdown, and we
It's
thought
only
that was
the
gonna
2 o'clock
shave off some
statement,
growth. You've
which was
also
a
got
dud
the
today.
Fiscal tailwinds. You've talked about big tax refunds coming, potential tariff dividend. How could you cut rates and not spur
No, hey,
inflation in
Captain,
that
I blew up all 20.
Well,
we didn't get enough movement. I was up
we
like
didn't cut rates
2,000
today.
and something
But,
on some of them.
You know,
and
it
it came
depends on
back a
how
little bit.
fast
Dinged
potential
them out.
output
We didn't
is
get the
growing,
fast
right?
movement that we
I'm
need to
just
see with the
asking in
news.
principle, I'm not, you know, I'm
I
not
said that
saying
was the
this
one
is
thing
what's
that would
happening,
destroy
but,
it.
you know,
It
there's
did.
growth, and there's how fast the potential is growing. And at a time of you know, high productivity growth, potential output is rising. So it really matters.
That is what it is. I knew that was a risk when I did it.
Potential output is growing as fast.
I
as
accepted
actual
that I
output,
could
and it
potentially
would
lose
matter
all
over
those
time.
accounts.
The numbers you cite.
So I'm not really that
quarters, and
upset.
Quarterly GDP is you need to look at 12 months.
It was a
because
$400
quarterly
crap shot,
GDP can be very lumpy.
and I crapped out.
You know, GDP was negative in the first quarter last year. So the overall over the year, the numbers were
So-
nothing like that. You know, it was more in the mid 2s for the year.
And how do you explain the divide
that's all right. I mean, I
now
appreciate it, but-
between strong economic growth and the job market? Is it productivity that's filling the gap? And is productivity being driven by AI at this point?
So there has been, you're right, there has been a divide of solid
I mean, all
growth,
those Apex
but
accounts
what
I
looked
had
a
since
weakening
like
labor
October.
market. And that can be explained by
I traded only micros on
by
them until
rising
last night.
productivity. But I would say we
I decided to short
do
gold.
see
That didn't work
signs
out.
of certainly of the unemployment rate stabilizing. So it may be we're seeing the beginning of the resolution of those two things. Also, as you probably know, the lore is that when GDP and the labor market get into an argument, in the end, the labor market data is more reliable. GDP data is very hard to collect and understand, but nonetheless, I think we may be seeing that tension resolving a little bit. Too soon to say with any confidence, though.
What Powell say? Nice.
Matt Egan with CNN. Chair Powell, after today, you have 2 meetings left as Fed chair. You've obviously experienced a lot during your time as Fed chair, served under multiple presidents. I'm wondering what advice you have for whoever your successor might be.
Honestly, I'd say a couple of things. One
Good luck.
is
Good luck. That's what I want to say. Good luck.
You know, stay out of elected politics. Don't get pulled into elected politics. Don't do it. And that's another thing. Well, another is that, you know, our window into democratic accountability is Congress. And it's not a passive burden for us to go to Congress and talk to people. It's an affirmative, regular obligation. If you want
He's gonna get
democratic
blackout drunk
legitimacy,
tonight.
you earn it by your interactions with our elected overseers.
Don't reverse
And
ability.
It's something you need to work hard at, and I have worked hard at it. So, and the last thing is, you know, it's easy to criticize government institutions so many ways. I will tell whoever it is, you're about to meet the most qualified group of people you not only have ever worked with, you will ever work with. And when you meet Fed staff, and not everybody's perfect, but there isn't a better cadre of professionals more dedicated to.
Hey, all the indices up but the Russell. Russell's the only indice in the red.
Thanks for that
down
answer.
6.1.
If I may follow up, as I'm sure you've noticed, gold and silver prices have experienced historic gains of late. And I'm wondering how much attention, if any, you pay to those moves and what message you may take from these significant price increases we've seen for precious metals.
Don't take much message macroeconomically. The argument can be made that we're losing credibility or something. It's simply not the case. If you look at where inflation expectations are, our credibility is right where it needs to be. So we look at those things. We don't get spun up over particular asset price changes, although we do monitor them, of course.
Nicole, for the last question.
Last question.
Hi, Nicole Goodkind Barron's.
Hi, Nicole.
Some prominent critics have charged that the Fed's economic models are somewhat backward-looking, but should be more forward-looking, incorporating things like productivity increases from AI. How do you incorporate current and future developments into your analysis and decision-making, and do you have an answer to those critics?
Yeah, so by and large, those criticisms, as somebody on the inside, they just don't make sense, and I'll tell you why. Every FOMC participant writes down a forecast every quarter, right? The summary of economic projections, and that's the basis for how we think about the economy. So, and the other thing is, what an economic model can do is it can grind up all the data for the last number of years, 50 years, let's say, and it can identify what are the relationships between variables A, B, C, D, and all that kind of thing. And it can tell you if you change one of those variables, this is what should happen in the macroeconomy.
Between trade debate going out and the movements.
However, the structure of the macroeconomy is constantly changing. For example, we hadn't had a pandemic in 100 years. It wasn't in the model. And we knew it from the very beginning. It was not in the model. A trade war of this scope, we'd never had that in 100 years. And so there's great uncertainty at different points. Another thing I'll say is, when it comes to, technological developments that raise potential output, some kind of
right at the VWAP, trying to see if we're going to push back down.
Revolution, like happened in the 90s here, and like maybe happening now with AI. We're all over that, and everyone studies those periods, and we're very clear-eyed about the possibility that this higher productivity may persist, and also that it may not. We're not. No one's sitting here unaware of the possibility of higher productivity. We've been talking about it for 3 years. It long predates the current situation. It's been going on for 5 or 6 years. We've had productivity higher. We've been talking about it that whole time. So it's very much on our minds, and we are
not really pushing down here.
That higher productivity means higher potential output, and it changes the way you think about potentially inflation, growth, labor market, and all those things. That's all in our models. I mean, if it's just a question of using better models, bring them on. Where are they? We'll take them. But I think, we certainly are in contact with anybody who does economic modeling, and we're always looking to do better at that. But that's how I think about that.
And just a quick follow-up. We've been talking a lot about tariffs and passing through, and we've been talking a lot about them for the past few months. The trade landscape is still in a constant state of flux. Announcements, threats, negotiations, they're all frequently changing. So I'm wondering how you actually track these, what data or channels are most critical to follow this in real time.
Trade?
Yeah, the impact of tariffs and how they're changing.
Yeah, I think our staff has done a really nice job on that, and they've kind of put it together in real time. So as I mentioned, a tariff gets put in place, you can pretty much track its effects on pricing and on everything, and so you build a model up from all of the tariffs. At the beginning, it was very much of a forecast. Now it's every cycle that goes by, it becomes more informed by actual data, and our forecasts were not far off What changed was, as I think I said earlier, what changed was what was implemented was smaller than what was announced. In addition, we didn't see retaliation internationally, and I think people did generally expect that because we saw that in the past, and that really mattered too. And then the other thing is that pass-through didn't know how fast that was going to be to consumers, didn't know how much exporters would take, how much companies in the middle would take, and how much the consumer would take. And it turns out it's a lot of companies in the middle who, by the way, are pretty strongly committed to passing the rest of it through, which is one of the reasons why we need to keep our eye on inflation and not declare victory prematurely.
Thank you.
We're done?
We're done.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right, Powell's done. Powell is done, and done. Yeah. Today was kind of a nothing burger for a Fed. We didn't get the big wild swings one way or the other. If you look really from, especially on the NASDAQ, if you look, we've only had 64 points from down and then back up to about 100-point range. But we didn't have any crazy moves out there. Unfortunately, I was looking for some quick, big moves out there for those 20 accounts. We didn't get it. So that's the way the cookie crumbles. With that being said, though, I'm going to sign off. Hopefully you guys will come back. Join me tomorrow on the road to redemption with all these accounts. All right, guys, take care.
He was a reality TV fixture for years, famously known as the guy you love to hate. But Spencer Pratt is hoping to change all of that and earn the votes of his fellow LA residents as he launches a run to be their mayor.
Oh my gosh, just seeing this video, it takes us back, right? It comes just 1 year after he and his wife, fellow reality TV star Heidi Montauk, lost their house in those LA wildfires.
The most heartbreaking part of the past year wasn't being displaced or losing everything I own. It was the realization that all of this was preventable. We are standing here amongst the ashes of our once beautiful town because the state and local leaders let us burn.
And Spencer Pratt joins us now. So great to have you here with us. Thank you for joining us. There's a powerful moment you describe in your new book where you describe driving away from your home and watching on the security cameras in your house, watching your son's bed engulfed in flames. What was that like?
The strangest part about that is the flames were in the shape of a heart. So even in this horrible moment, I was like, is this, a good sign or whatever, or just, you don't know what it is. But that was a very, shaped as a heart.
And then you wake up the next day and everything is gone.
Correct. At my parents' house, all my neighbors, 7,000 houses. So 12 people burned alive.
Yeah, the stories were horrific. I remember one story of someone, it was either the dad or the boy, was in bed and couldn't walk and couldn't get out of bed. And so the other one, his loved one, his dad, just got in bed with him and said, we're just going to go together. I mean, the stories were horrific. But you were always, and we'll get into your book in a little bit, but you were this villain when we were growing up and watching The Hills. And then all of a sudden, my social media, all my friends' social media, it's blowing up with all these images of you. You were standing up for your neighbors, and you were the voice when everyone else was lying or the water wasn't available in the reservoirs. And you stood up and you said, this is negligence. We have to do something about this. And then you wanted to run. Now you've decided to run for mayor. What got you to that point?
Well, to be clear, I never wanted to be mayor. I don't want to be in politics. I want to be back in my house with my family, going down to the local public schools and having just a normal life. But once you uncover everything I have in the last year, these people in charge should have resigned on January 7th, January 8th, and I was waiting for somebody to step up and, go after these people, and nobody did. So I was like, okay, well, it's my job to do that. So, it's criminal negligence. Once people are burning alive, it's a whole nother tier in my mind. It's not just negligence.
So it's not just about the fires, but I do think it's interesting in your book, you write about being on the show with former Governor Rod Blagojevich, who told you, stay out of politics, it's dangerous. You didn't take his advice, but yet as you approach this run for mayor, it's not just about the rebuild in Palisades. What are the other problems with LA? What do you bring as a candidate?
Yeah, one thing people, that I'll read on the internet, they're like, oh, he just cares about the Palisades. Well, what everyone in Los Angeles should be concerned about is if these city leaders are fine with letting people burn alive, covering it up, 7,000 structures, that's the first red flag. What are they doing in South Central or other parts of Los Angeles that don't have me going deep in and exposing it? So, I mean, anybody that drives around the streets of LA, we're in the darkest times ever. The homelessness crisis is insane. The drugs, I mean, I now am working with animal rescue people on Skid Row. They're torturing and mutilating dogs daily just on the side of the street. And these people are not even getting, because people are on drugs, like, they're just, these are mentally ill, drug-related, crazy people, and they're just letting it happen. So, I mean, it's, so much is going on in Los Angeles, and people are like, oh, well, what's your experience? Whatever the experience these people have running the city, I don't have that. Right. So let's start from, that's the good news.
Yeah, and these are not partisan issues. And when you look at these fires, you had some 16,000 structures that burned to the ground. So far, only 12 have been, 12, not 12,000. The number 12, less than 12, have been rebuilt. This is not a partisan issue. No, there's actually 2 houses in the Palisades that have had certification to move back in, and one of them is a spec house developer. Yeah. So, and then the way Newsom and whoever they brag about, oh, there's 1,200 permits. If you're rebuilding a house, they're counting every permit in there. That's not a full rebuild. That's like if you added an extra, closet over here. So the numbers are totally cooked that they're bragging about. My favorite part, they'll be like, oh, this is record time compared to Maui. Maui's on an island. It should be a lot slower to be rebuilding, and it shouldn't. I'm not defending Maui's rebuild, but you can't compare Maui to Los Angeles. There's only 2 houses.
What about the other neighborhoods?
I'm not an expert in Altadena. I think that maybe there's 1 or 2. It's not,
That's crazy.
So, and again, Altadena, people, get upset that I'll speak on that, but I'm not an expert in Altadena. There's a lot of things that went wrong with the evacuation, the fire trucks, so just across the board, it's tragic.
Mayor Bass was warned about this storm, about this fire, because it was a perfect storm for fire conditions. Just the dryness, the wind. She starts off in Africa. She's in Ghana. Then she comes back. Did Mayor Bass fail LA?
I mean, forget taking on, that's another thing. As mayor of LA, I'm never going to leave the city, period. There's no reasons to be in Africa when you're supposed to be taking care of your city. So that's first red flag. Second is, all her text messages from this emergency have been deleted. She had some special auto-deleting texts that the LA Times couldn't even get. So what are in those text messages that were deleted? Right. I can't wait to read those. The list just goes on, and that's why, again, I'm running for mayor, because nobody wants 4 more years.
What can you do differently, though, how will you get these permits quicker than what's happening now?
Well, first off, as mayor, I won't lie to LA. She lied and said she was going to waive all the fees, which as mayor, you can't do. You need all the city council to. So truth, honesty is a first step,
We, by the way, reached out to Mayor Bass for a statement. We have not heard back from them. Now we got to talk about the book.
Yeah, so you're out with the new book, The Guy You Loved to Hate, Confessions from a Reality TV Villain. You share behind-the-scenes details of your time in MTV's The Hills from the book. Quote, they want to call it a natural disaster. No, it was negligence dressed up as an act of God. So why did you write this book?
Well, the timing, because, Mayor Bass, and they'll be like, oh, Spencer has this book, and he's running for mayor to promote the book. And they'll understand within, a few years from now when I'm still doing this, the book has nothing to do with the journey that she put me on by letting my house burn down. So let's be clear. I wrote this book because right after my house burned down, the publishers reached out and felt like what was happening in my life was a closure to my journey of fame. And, because I was always chasing fame and riches, and now I'm at zero. You burned my house down, I have nothing. And so I felt like they saw that as a...
Real quick, before we run out of time, I got to get this in, because you were the most photographed paparazzi couple of the time. And we learn in the book, you're very honest. You were coordinating in all of it. TMZ, Us Weekly. You were calling them, staging it, choreographing it. And then I read your book, and there's no pictures in there. Why?
Well, every photo I've ever had burned to the ground thanks to Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom, and all my parents' photos burned to the ground. So the only photos I have start in like iPhone 10 or iPhone 7 when the cloud came in. And so it would have been weird to put just like photos from like 2012. So I was like, okay, no photos. But yeah, that's what people, you know, they say, oh, you can rebuild. First off, I'll have 1 minute on the rebuild. You can't rebuild because they also changed the zoning because they want more money. So for instance, even with the little money you may have gotten from Cal Fair Plan, you may now have to put $1.2 million in cement caissons into the bedrock, which weren't there before our houses burned down. And they didn't care our houses burned down, but now they care how we rebuild our houses.
I'll just say, Spencer, I know we've got to leave, but I will say I love that you gave credit to God. Everyone deserves a second chance. We all thought you were a villain. But you scripted a lot of that and you wanted to be that villain. But God bless you. Thank you for sticking up for the people of California, the Americans that lost everything. And I'm glad you gave credit to Christ.
Well, you know, one thing about losing everything, you start really locking in and you're like, okay, God, show me some signs here on what I'm supposed to do. And that's, again, why I'm running for mayor.
We got to leave it here. They're making us go to a break. It was great having you. For the kid that got a D- in business trig, you did pretty well.
Thank you.
Want even more Fox News on YouTube? Become a Fox News Patriot today. Click join to find out how.
Position who will have nationwide jurisdiction over the issue of fraud. Now, of course, that person's efforts will start and focus primarily in Minnesota, but it is going to be a nationwide effort because, unfortunately, the American people have been defrauded in a very nationwide way. I want to thank a couple of people for their cooperation, in particular Pam Bondi, our Attorney General. First of all, for getting a lot of resources to Minneapolis to start to investigate and prosecute this fraud, really at an industrial scale. We've never seen fraud like this in the history of our country. Pam has been doing a great job to get the resources there to uncover it, but importantly, creating a job like this often takes months, sometimes even longer. When we realized that we needed this Associate Attorney General position, Pam got this person up and running in about a week. We're going to make the nomination hopefully in the next few days. We'll obviously let you guys know who that is when we do it. I've talked to Senate Majority Leader John Thune, who has promised me swift confirmation for this official, but this is the person who is going to make sure that we stop defrauding the American people. And here's one final thing I'll say about this. I've heard a lot of people say that we need a special counsel to investigate fraud in the United States of America. I actually agree, and that's what this position does. It has all the benefits, all the resources, all the authority of a special counsel, but with two crucial differences. Number one, it will be run out of the White House under the supervision of me and the President of the United States. And number two, it's actually constitutionally legitimate. As you guys may know, the special counsel statute has some major constitutional questions. When we get the bad guys, we want to make sure we get them permanently and they don't have some legal technicality they can get out of, which is why we set it up as an Associate Attorney General. I'll take some questions, but I want to make just one final observation here. When I was actually walking out here, somebody sent me a photo of a CNN headline about what happened in Minneapolis. And this is the headline. I'm just going to read it. Outrage after ICE officer kills U.S. citizen in Minneapolis. Well, that's one way to put it, and that is the way that many people in the corporate media have put this attack over the last 24 hours. And I say attack very, very intentionally because this was an attack on federal law enforcement. This was an attack on law and order. This was an attack on the American people. The way that the media, by and large, has reported this story has been an absolute disgrace, and it puts our law enforcement officers at risk every single day. What that headline leaves out is the fact that that very ICE officer nearly had his life ended, dragged by a car 6 months ago, 33 stitches in his leg. So you think maybe he's a little bit sensitive about somebody ramming him with an automobile? What that headline leaves out is that that woman was there to interfere with a legitimate law enforcement operation in the United States of America. What that headline leaves out is that that woman is part of a broader left-wing network to attack, to dox, to assault, and to make it impossible for our ICE officers to do their job. If the media wants to tell the truth, they ought to tell the truth that a group of left-wing radicals have been working tirelessly, sometimes using domestic terror techniques to try to make it impossible for the President of the United States to do what the American people elected him to do, which is enforce our immigration laws. The President stands with ICE, I stand with ICE, we stand with all of our law enforcement officers. And part of that is recognizing that you people in the media, not everybody in this room, but many people in this room have been lying about this attack. She was trying to ram this guy with her car. He shot back. He defended himself. He's already been seriously wounded in law enforcement operations before, and everybody who's been repeating the lie that this is some innocent woman who was out for a drive in Minneapolis when a law enforcement officer shot at her, you should be ashamed of yourselves. Every single one of you. Questions?
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I wanted to read a quote from Tim Walz earlier today. He said, "When things looked bleak, it was Minnesota's first that held the line for the nation on July 3rd, 1863, and I think we may be in that moment now." Can you comment on his rhetoric and Mayor Jacob Frey and whether they want to see unrest in Minneapolis?
Well, that's very tough rhetoric from a guy who just quit because his fraudulent activities have been uncovered. Look, Tim Walz is a joke. His entire administration has been a joke. The idea that he's some sort of freedom fighter, he's not. He's a guy who has enabled fraud and maybe, in fact, has participated in fraud. That's what this new Assistant Attorney General position is going to find out. I don't care what Tim Walz says. I care about getting to the bottom of this fraud for the American people, and I care about enforcing the nation's immigration laws. That's what we're going to stay focused on.
Unrelated question here. I mean, Democrats have accused ICE of murder. They've said they're targeting Americans. They've told ICE to get the F out of Minnesota. This is going to stoke the fire against ICE agents, and you're talking about ICE agents right now and being concerned about them. What, if anything, is the administration going to do to make sure these folks are protected during these protests? But also, should DHS sort of revisit their procedures here? I mean, nobody wants to see an American killed. Are there changes that need to be made to make sure something like this doesn't happen again?
Look, first of all, of course, nobody wants an American citizen to be killed. This is absolutely a tragedy, but it's a tragedy of the making of the far left. They have radicalized a very small segment of the population, taught them that ICE agents are engaging in wide-scale violation of people's rights. What our ICE officers are doing is deporting the millions of criminal aliens that were let in during the Biden administration. So number one, we have to say, as a matter of leadership, and I would appreciate if the Democrats would join me on this, let's be honest about the fact that we have way too many illegal aliens in this country. Our ICE officers should be supported in doing their job. You're trying to actually marshal the far left lunatic fringe to engage in doxing, to try to make it impossible for them to enforce the law, and in some cases actually to engage in acts of domestic terrorism against our law enforcement officers. When you talk about different plans, different protocols, different policies, I forget exactly how you asked the question. Here's the simple fact. What we're going to do is make it easier for the American people's administration to enforce the American people's law. And that means that Democrats have to stop rallying the mob against legitimate law enforcement operations. And that means that we are going to get tougher, and that's what this AAG position is about. We're going to get tougher at the people who are defrauding the United States by inciting violence against our law enforcement officers. That's one of the things that we're going to do. We've already started that work at the Department of Justice, but we're going to keep on doing it, and this new AAG position is going to kick that into high gear.
Vice President Vance, you just suggested that this woman who was killed, Renee Good, is part of a broader left-wing network. Who do you think is behind this broader left-wing network?
Well, it's one of the things we're going to have to figure out, but here's the way that I put it. When somebody throws a brick at an ICE agent, or somebody tries to run over an ICE agent, who paid for the brick? And who told protesters to show up and engage in violent activity against our law enforcement officers? You see, just with this most recent terrible incident in Minneapolis, you see friends of this woman's or other people who are eyewitnesses saying basically that she was there to engage in obstruction of a legitimate law enforcement operation. How did she get there? How did she learn about this? There's an entire network, and frankly, some of the media are participating in it, that is trying to incite violence against our law enforcement officers. It's ridiculous, it's preposterous, and part of our investigatory work is getting to the bottom of it. Who's funding it? Who's supporting it? Who's cheerleading it? And of course, if there's illegal activity related to that, we're going to get to the bottom of that and prosecute it where we can.
Vice President, thank you for taking questions today. Is there a risk with you describing her as a deranged leftist, talking about very specific facts of these events, when an investigation is just beginning? Are you preempting a thorough investigation by drawing such conclusions? And have you received any information beyond the videos we've seen publicly about this individual, her specific acts, that has informed your point of view?
Well, first of all, the Department of Justice is going to investigate this. The Department of Homeland Security is already investigating this. But the simple fact is, what you see is what you get in this case. You have a woman who is trying to obstruct a legitimate law enforcement operation. Nobody debates that. You have a woman who aimed her car at a law enforcement officer and pressed on the accelerator. Nobody debates that. I can believe that her death is a tragedy while also recognizing that it's a tragedy of her own making and a tragedy of the far left who has marshaled an entire movement, a lunatic fringe, against our law enforcement officers. I think what is clearly happening here, and it's going to keep on happening unless the Democrats wake up and say, you know what, you don't have to agree with our immigration policies. You don't have to agree with what the president or the vice president believe about immigration enforcement, but why don't you take this to the ballot box? Why don't you vote? Why don't you organize? Instead, what some of them are doing is encouraging people to get violent with our law enforcement officials. It's disgraceful and it's got to stop.
Just to follow up on that question, and again, thank you for taking questions, Mr. Vice President. There's clearly a lot of emotion in Minnesota, across the country, over this incident. You're calling Renee Good a deranged leftist. There's been heated rhetoric that we've also heard from officials. What responsibility do you and the president have to diffuse some of the tension that we are seeing play out in Minnesota, bring down the temperature as this investigation is unfolding?
What we have a responsibility to do is to protect the people who are enforcing the law and protect the country writ large. Whether you're Democrat or Republican, you deserve to have the people's laws enforced in the United States of America. Now, again, I'm not happy that this woman lost her life. I'm not happy that this woman was there at a protest violating the law by interfering with a law enforcement action. I think that we can all recognize that the best way to turn down the temperature is to tell people to take their concerns about immigration policy to the ballot box. Stop assaulting and stop inciting violence against our law enforcement officers. That's the best way to take down the temperature. And we're not going to give in to terrorism on this. And that's exactly what's happening. People trying to antagonize, to commit acts of violence. They throw bricks at them. Sometimes they shoot at them. Sometimes they dox them. Sometimes they go to their place of residence and harass their families. This is classic terrorism. And we cannot say that when a far left fringe is inciting violence against our brave law enforcement officials, that we're no longer going to enforce the law. That's rewarding the very people who are engaged in this garbage. The actual reward that they just got is a new assistant attorney general who is going to prosecute and investigate this stuff even more aggressively than before.
Yeah. Thanks for taking my question. So the head of Minnesota's investigations agency says that the U.S. Attorney's Office has essentially cut off the state investigations agency's access to the investigation. What is the precedent for that, and why shouldn't the Minnesota officials on the ground have access and evidence to work on this investigation?
First of all, I wish the state officials in Minnesota would investigate why you have so many people who are using their vehicles and other means to actually interfere with a legitimate law enforcement operation. The precedent here is very simple. You have a federal law enforcement official engaging in federal law enforcement action. That's a federal issue. That guy is protected by absolute immunity. He was doing his job. The idea that Tim Walz and a bunch of radicals in Minneapolis are going to go after and make this guy's life miserable because he was doing the job that he was asked to do is preposterous. The unprecedented thing is the idea that a local official can actually prosecute a federal official with absolute immunity. I've never seen anything like that. It would get tossed out by a judge. So what I'd like Minnesota to focus on is the real issue that they're encouraging people. Minneapolis officials are encouraging people to commit violence against ICE officials. It's ridiculous. It's got to stop. Go ahead.
Mr. President, thank you. You said earlier that there's a left-wing network to attack, to dox, to assault, and make it impossible for ICE officers to do their job. You told my colleague just now that there's an investigation going on into that network.
Yep.
So if everything that you say is true, how does being part of that network justify being shot?
Well, being part of the network doesn't justify being shot, but ramming an ICE officer with your car, that's what justifies being shot. It's not a good thing, by the way, but when you force somebody to engage in self-defense, it's almost a preposterous question. I'm not saying that funding some of this stuff justifies capital punishment. Nobody would suggest that. The reason this woman is dead is because she tried to ram somebody with her car and that guy acted in self-defense. That is why she lost her life, and that is the tragedy. Now, there may be other violations of the law and other penalties that are associated with those violations of the law. For example, if you are funding violence against our law enforcement officers, I'm not a prosecutor. My guess is that's not the sort of thing that earns capital punishment, but it should sure as hell earn you a few years in prison if you're funding the effort to try to assault our law enforcement officers. I'm sorry, guys, what's going on here? You guys are meant to report the truth. How have you let yourself become agents of propaganda of a radical fringe that's making it harder for us to enforce our laws? You just asked me a question that presumed that the reason why this woman died is because she was engaged in legitimate protest. She tried to run somebody over with her car, and the guy defended himself when that happened. Next question.
The investigation is still ongoing.
I said next question.
Mr. Vice President, I mean, you presumably watched the video yourself. There's not the slightest doubt in your mind, having viewed it, that the victim, you still believe that she deliberately tried to round him despite seeing this video?
Look, I don't know what is in a person's heart or in a person's head, and obviously we're not going to get the chance to ask this woman what was going on. What I am certain of is that she violated the law. What I am certain of is that that officer had every reason to think that he was under very serious threat for injury or in fact, his life. What I'm certain of is that she accelerated in a way where she ran into the guy. I don't know what was in her heart and what was in her head, but I know that she violated the law, and I know that officer was acting in self-defense. It raises an interesting point, though. Look, if people want to say that we should have a legitimate debate about, what was she really doing, right? Was she panicking when she drove into this officer, or was she actually trying to ram him? That's a reasonable conversation. What's not reasonable is for so many of you to plaster all over the media that this was an innocent woman and that the ICE agent committed murder, which is what many of you have said explicitly and some of you have said implicitly. That's what I have an objection to. The idea that this was not justified is absurd, and I think everybody knows it in their heart. Yeah.
Mr. Vice President,
in the green jacket.
Taking down the temperature, it seems like political violence is ratcheting up and riots could be around the corner. What steps does the administration have planned to try to unite America? Average people on both political sides are so tired of fighting with each other, and I think all the journalists in this room could agree with me that we don't want to be part of the problem. Do you have any words to unite America?
I know you don't want to be a part of the problem, and I think that's true of a lot of you. I'm not sure it's true for everybody, because the reporting over this has been one of the biggest scandals I've ever seen in media. I've never seen a case so misrepresented and misreported when you have a guy who was defending himself and is now being treated as some sort of federal assassin by so many of the people in this room. First of all, let me say about crime. You mentioned violence. One of the things we're proudest about is that you saw violent crime over the last year drop by 20%. Why is that drop by 20%? Is it because we're attacking our law enforcement officers, or is it because we in the administration are empowering our law enforcement officers to enforce the law? I think that's one of the ways you take down the temperature, is you make people feel more secure and safe in their person and property. That's why we care so much about protecting our law enforcement, because it accrues to the benefit of the entire national community. I think that we can absolutely talk about the ways in which, we can lower the temperature by discussing differences in a reasonable and rational way. Again, I'm happy to talk with any congressional Democrat or any of you about our immigration policy, about why I think it's necessary, about why I think it's in the best interest of the country, about why the President of the United States was elected to actually enforce the border for the first time in at least 4 years. So here's the problem. That's not the debate so many people are having. They are actively covering for people who are committing acts of violence against federal law enforcement. It is preposterous. The way to take down the temperature is to stop it. Have your debates about policy. Attack me. Attack the President of the United States. Don't attack our law enforcement officers. They are trying to do the job the American people demanded that they do. They are not policy actors. They are enforcing the law. They should be treated with a modicum of dignity and respect. And the fact that they're not is why incidents like yesterday happened. The one final point I'll make about this is, look, there's a part of me that feels very, very sad for this woman, not just because she lost her life, but because I think she is a victim of left-wing ideology. What young mother shows up and decides they're going to throw their car in front of ICE officers who are enforcing legitimate law? You've got to be a little brainwashed to get to that point to where you're willing not just to protest, that's fine, not peacefully protest, but throw your vehicle in front of legitimate law enforcement officers and drive your car into them. To get to that point, you have to be, I think, radicalized in a very, very sad way. I certainly wish that she hadn't got there. I know there's an ICE officer right now who very much wishes he was not put in the position where he had to fire a gun to defend his own life. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. What's your message, following up on that, what's your message to the leaders in Minnesota, the governor of Minnesota, the mayor of Minneapolis, to calm down the situation on the ground, on the streets? What's your message also to those protesters who saw that video in a completely different way than you saw that video?
Well, first of all, I think if you watch every angle of that video, there is one angle where if you squint, you can maybe tell yourself that it's not clear what happened. But when you look at all angles of that video, it is very clear that her vehicle went right for the guy. She actually collided with him. And then that's, of course, when he fired his shots. That's obvious, okay? So what I'd say to the protesters is, by all means, protest peacefully, but make this about ideas. Make this about disagreement with our policy. Don't use your protest as a justification or an encouragement for people to go and incite violence and participate in violence against our law enforcement officials. To the people on the ground in Minneapolis, meaning the local officials in Minneapolis, from Tim Walz on down, I'd say, look, why can't you just disagree with a given piece of immigration policy without turning law enforcement into the enemy? And think about, for example, a criminal law where a police officer goes and arrests somebody because they violated a criminal law. If you're mad about that, go and protest the politician who passed that law. Don't attack the police officer who's just doing their job. We had a wide open border under Joe Biden. I happen to think it's a good thing the President of the United States has closed it down. If you think that's a bad idea, criticize this administration for a policy decision. Don't attack our people for enforcing the law, because I guarantee you go to ICE, there are black people and white people, there are Democrats and Republicans, they are patriotic Americans who are trying to enforce the law. Attack me, lay off of our ICE agents. Yeah, in the blue, all the way, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Vice President. You called on Tim Walz to resign. Can you lay out the case as to why he should step down?
Well, I think Tim Walz should resign because it's very clear either that he knew about the fraud in Minneapolis, he knew about the welfare fraud, or at the very least he looked the other way. I mean, this is not like Lex Luthor, right? This is not movie villain fraud. This is the lowest IQ possible fraud. This is, we're going to take the absence of kids and set up a daycare center where there are no children, and we're going to call our early childhood education center the Quality Leering Center. By the way, if you can't spell learning, maybe you shouldn't be in early childhood education. But people got rich off of this. We know that there were schools who either had no enrollment or at least they overstated their enrollment. Tim Walz, either it was unbelievable incompetence or he was in on the fraud. That's one of the things we're going to get to the bottom of. Sir.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Can you explain the difference between this Associate Attorney General and a special counsel? And do you envision this being a permanent position or having more of a limited scope?
Well, it's going to be permanent until we get to the bottom of what's going on, so I think it's going to last for at least the remainder of the administration. What's different about it from a special counsel is, if you remember, the Jack Smith case where the special counsel was found unconstitutional, one of the big issues there is that that person was not an appointed person, completely aside from all the other issues that the person was a lunatic and that the case had no merit. There was a fundamental constitutional issue, which is that he had not been appointed by the president and he had not been confirmed by the United States Senate. An assistant attorney general, what that's going to allow us to do is appoint this person, have them confirmed by the Senate. That's one difference. The more substantive difference is that this person is going to be part of a very broad interagency White House that's being led from the President of the United States on down. And that's going to give him the resources, the access to material and information to make this person more effective. I think a lot of people have asked, how are you really going to get to the heart of the fraud? We've been asking ourselves that question for the past couple of months, and we think this is the critical piece at the Department of Justice to really ramp this fraud investigation into high gear. In the red tie, yeah.
Vice President Vance, I wanted to ask, what's your message to far leftist agitators who feel emboldened to obstruct ICE activity in Minnesota and around the country?
Well, I think they shouldn't feel emboldened because now they have an assistant attorney general who is going to prosecute and investigate their fraud and their violence more aggressively than it has ever been investigated in the United States of America. We are doing so much to try to find the financing networks and the domestic terrorism networks that legitimate this violence, that fund this violence, and that, of course, engage in the violence. These people should not feel emboldened because they have, for the first time, maybe in American history, an administration that is not going to tolerate political violence of any kind from anywhere. Yeah.
We not clear today that the entire weight of the federal government is behind these ICE agents and this ICE agent in particular. There is still a federal investigation happening on the ground. Does that mean that they are not looking into this ICE agent at all? They are just focused on the woman who was in the car? What is the investigation if the federal government has already determined that its weight is behind this ICE investigation?
So what do you mean, when you say investigation, do you mean investigation of the shooting yesterday or of the fraud that's happening in Minneapolis?
Yesterday.
Okay, look, DHS, as I understand it, has an investigation already ongoing. I know that other organs of our government are looking at this. So yes, there is certainly an investigation that's happening right now. But as part of the broader fraud investigation, a lot of what we're doing with the Department of Justice has already started. We've got over 1,500 subpoenas. We've got people this morning, actually, we're going door to door to actually knock on some of these fraudulent care centers, these fraudulent social services organizations to get to the bottom of what's going on there. So the investigation in some ways has already been ramping up into the anti-fraud element for at least a few weeks. What we're trying to do is supercharge it and make sure there's a designated person within the Department of Justice who completely controls that particular focus.
Just to follow up on that, Mr. Vice President, on the agent, is he still on duty or has he been placed on leave, on administrative leave? And what really was the target of the operation on Wednesday? The ICE operation on Wednesday?
Well, first of all, it was a legitimate law enforcement operation. We were going door to door to try to find criminal illegal aliens and deport them from the United States of America, because if you come to our country illegally in violation of our immigration laws, then we have the mandate, and in fact, we have the legal duty to enforce those immigration laws. Whether he's been placed on administrative leave, I don't know the answer to that question. I'd refer it to the Department of Homeland Security, and they can follow up. I will say, look, I would appreciate everybody saying a prayer for that agent. Look, in the past 6 months, he has been hit twice by a motor vehicle. One time, the first time, it led to over 30 stitches and very serious injuries to his legs. This is a guy who's actually done a very, very important job for the United States of America. He's been assaulted, he's been attacked, he's been injured because of it. He deserves a debt of gratitude, and I think the media prejudging and talking about this guy as if he's a murderer is one of the most disgraceful things I've ever seen from the American media. Yeah.
Vice President, what is your specific role in the future of Venezuela? And I'm wondering, could you confirm reports that the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, was kept out of the planning for the operations because of her past concerns about military involvement in Venezuela?
So I've heard a couple of things. One, that I was kept out of the planning for the Venezuela operation, that's false. And another, that Tulsi was kept out of the planning for Venezuela operations, that's completely false. Look, we're all part of the same team. And one of the things that is really amazing about that operation is that we kept it very tight to the senior cabinet level officials and related officials in our government. And we kept this operation secret for a very long time. I'm very proud of that. I think it suggests that the team works very well together. Well, looking ahead, what is my role? Look, my role is going to be whatever the president asks me to do. Well, every other day, I'm chairing the meeting that we do on this among White House principals to talk about next steps to try to ensure that Venezuela is stable, and as the president has directed us to do, to ensure that the new Venezuelan government actually listens to the United States and does what the United States needs it to do under our country's best interest. So I'm going to be as involved as the president wants me to be. So far, that's been very involved, and I'll keep on doing that so long as the president asks me to do it. In the purple.
Yes.
Even
Mr.
beyond the War Powers
Sorry,
resolution.
we'll go purple and then we'll go pink or whatever that is in front.
Royal purple. And then beige. All right.
Okay.
Are there any indications, you talked about the network, are there any indications that the lady who was shot, I know there are different reports from there, her wife said they were new to the area. Are there any indications she may have been a paid agitator and maybe that there are others that were brought to the area? considering everything that's going on in Minneapolis?
I wouldn't say that she was paid. I don't have the evidence to say that one way or the other. What I do know is that she was violating the law. And if you just look at the eyewitness accounts, they were saying she was there to prevent the enforcement of the law. She was trying to obstruct a legitimate law enforcement operation. That much is obviously clear. The rest of it, of course, is part of the reason why we investigate this stuff. Yeah.
Mr. Vice President, even beyond the War Powers resolution today, Congress has bucked President Trump on issues like tariffs. Are you concerned that President Trump is losing his grip on Republicans in the Congress, and what are you going to do about it?
No, I'm not concerned at all. First of all, we talked to some of the senators who were going to vote the wrong way, in my view, on this resolution today. Much of their argument was based more on a legal technicality than any disagreement in policy. If you look at the people who actually voted, every single one of them have supported the administration's plan. Second of all, as the president, I believe himself has already said, every president, Democrat or Republican, believes the War Powers Act is fundamentally a fake and unconstitutional law. It's not going to change anything about how we conduct foreign policy over the next couple of weeks, the next couple of months, and that'll continue to be how we approach things. Go ahead.
President. So we are seeing, regarding Iran, we are seeing the protests in Iran these days. The citizens are begging for help from the U.S. and Israel, naming streets in the city after President Trump. It seems there is an opportunity here that may not come again. Will the United States stand by the citizens of Iran? And if Israel decides to strike again the nuclear sites in Iran, is the U.S. expected to take part?
Well, look, we certainly stand by anybody who's engaged in peaceful protest, anybody who's trying to exert their rights for free association and to have their voices heard. Obviously, the Iranian regime has a lot of problems. And as the President of the United States has said, the smartest thing for them to have done, it was true 2 months ago, it's true today, is for them to actually have a real negotiation with the United States about what we need to see when it comes to their nuclear program. I'll let the President speak to what we're going to do in the future, but we certainly stand with anybody across the world, including the Iranian people who are advocating for their rights. I'll take just a couple more questions. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice President. Concerning Venezuela, how would you assure the Caribbean region that they will remain a zone of peace? Because some member states in the region are concerned.
Well, look, the president had a very productive phone call with the president of Colombia yesterday, and we continue to talk at all levels of government with a number of our friends in the Caribbean region. I actually think this is really good for peace in the Caribbean, because when you take away a major source of illegal cartel revenue, which is the cocaine trade, the fentanyl trade, other sources of illicit revenue, you actually remove the power of one of the main destabilizing forces in Latin America and in the Caribbean. I really do think, look, we say it all the time, this is the president of peace. One of the ways that you establish peace in your own hemisphere is to make it clear that the United States is going to be respected, that the United States is willing to take power away from criminal cartel organizations and give it to legitimate governments. That's how we see the future of the Western Hemisphere, and we think it's going to be much more peaceful than it was certainly under Joe Biden. I'll take one more question. Go ahead.
Mr. Vice President, thank you. On Greenland, do you have a message for European leaders? Many in Europe reject the idea that the island could be for sale.
Well, first of all, Secretary Rubio, I believe, is meeting with the leaders of Denmark and Greenland next week, I want to say it is, but maybe it's the week after that. We'll continue to deliver some of these messages in private, some of them in public, but I guess my advice to European leaders and anybody else would be to take the President of the United States seriously. What has he said about Greenland? Set to the side the crazy overreactions that I've seen from the press and from certain people in Europe. What has the President said? Number one, Greenland is really important, not just to America's missile defense, but to the world's missile defense. Number two, we know that there are hostile adversaries that have shown a lot of interest in that particular territory, that particular slice of the world. So what we're asking our European friends to do is to take the security of that landmass more seriously, because if they're not, the United States is going to have to do something about it. What that is, I'll leave that to the President as we continue to engage in diplomacy with our European friends and everybody on this particular topic. And again, thank you all for listening. Thanks for taking questions. And I just ask you, look, this is politics, and often Republicans and get in arguments with the press about things. And I understand that. I think it's really irresponsible for you guys to go out there and imply or tell the American people that a guy who defended himself from being rammed by an automobile is guilty of murder. Be a little bit more careful. We're going to talk about toning down the temperature, which I know the President wants to do, and I certainly want to do. One of the ways we tone down the temperature is to have a media that tells the truth. I encourage you all to do that. God bless you. Happy New Year, guys.
Hi, everyone. Last night, that storm. That was pretty outrageous. But glad we made it. Thank you all very much for being here. Popular today in the back. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone at home. So yes, we have a few announcements, as you might imagine, and then I'll be ready to take your questions. So good afternoon, everyone. Secretary Rubio is in Kuala Lumpur for the ASEAN-related foreign ministers' meetings and bilateral engagements, reaffirming the United States' commitment, our enduring commitment, if I may add, to a free, open, and secure Indo-Pacific. Earlier today, he participated in the ASEAN-US Post-Ministerial Conference and held meetings with Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar and counterparts from Malaysia, Russia, Japan, and the Philippines. As the Secretary has stated, the Indo-Pacific accounts for 2/3 of global growth and remains a central focus of U.S. foreign policy. The Secretary also signed a nuclear cooperation memorandum of understanding with Malaysia, advancing civil nuclear energy collaboration under the highest standards of safety, security, and non-proliferation. Negotiations toward a 123 agreement are underway, and once finalized, it would permit the transfer of nuclear material and equipment for peaceful purposes, further deepening bilateral energy, security, and economic ties. Tomorrow also marks the 4th anniversary of the Cuban regime's July 11th crackdown. Deputy Secretary Landau met with Cuban democracy and human rights advocates, reaffirming the United States' steadfast support for freedom and democracy in Cuba. Secretary Rubio's video message to the group made clear the Trump administration promotes accountability for the Cuban regime's human rights violations and continues to stand with the Cuban people in their pursuit of freedom and prosperity. Additionally, the United States is imposing sanctions on UN Human Rights Council Special Rapporteur Francesca Albanese for her abuse of her role. And in recent weeks, she also targeted U.S. companies in an unacceptable campaign of political and economic warfare. The United States will take whatever actions we deem necessary and appropriate to protect our sovereignty, Israel, and any other U.S. ally from illegitimate actions by the ICC. In parallel, the department is announcing a new awareness campaign warning Americans, especially Iranian Americans, about the continuing severe risks of travel to Iran. The Iranian regime does not recognize dual nationality and routinely denies consular services to detained U.S. citizens. And while the bombing has stopped, that does not mean that it is safe to travel to Iran. It is not. We are also launching a new website dedicated to warning Americans against travel to Iran. And there you have it. You can get that website starting at state.gov/do not travel to Iran. That's travel-to-Iran. But I think if you go to state.gov, you do a search, you will find that quite easily. The message is clear, as you can tell, in multiple languages. Our travel advisories are there as well. They remain in place. And we cannot stress enough, as we continue to do, as I have multiple times from this podium, do not travel to Iran, especially those of you who are the dual citizens, who have Iranian heritage. It is not safe for anyone to travel to Iran. And again, this supplements also the existing travel advisories. It does not supplant them at travel.state.gov. Our message is clear. I think so. And finally, as many of you would know, the department is also undertaking a historic reorganization, as announced by Secretary Rubio on April 22nd, to better align workforce activities and programs with the America First foreign policy priorities. The Supreme Court's recent near-unanimous decision allows the reorganization to commence and will ensure that the department moves at the speed of relevancy and restores the department to its roots of results-driven democracy. The plan, which has been approved by the Secretary and developed with extensive feedback from Congress and the workforce itself, is moving into implementation. I do also want to make a note here as my experience at the State Department now moves into its 6th month. The remarkable experience, the life-changing experience I've had getting to know the people who work in this building. There are tens of thousands of them, and they are at the heart, whether they be political appointees, foreign service officers, or career individuals, people who have made their career, their service for this country something that has been a part of their lives for a long time. It has been a remarkable experience to see how this building works, how the people work together moving forward to promote and to implement American foreign policy through the commitment and their patriotism. I have to say that in the midst of all of this, it's been, again, very transparent. I've been proud of that coming from the leadership of this building, as we've discussed this many times. And now this is the point where it begins. And all of us understand, and it's sometimes difficult, as any enterprise in America has learned, that when change is necessary. But in this case, we've inherited a dynamic that needed reform, and we are taking and implementing reform. And of course, in the midst of this, know that the people who've committed to the State Department and to diplomacy, that they know also this is not about them. This is about making sure that the State Department is able to operate in a manner that makes it relevant and effective. That is what the American people want. It's what all of us want. And in this dynamic, that's exactly what we're achieving. So it is, it's been a long road. Every day is one that I'm very proud of working here. And of course, every briefing I'm proud of. It's always very different, the briefings. But we will start now with today's briefing as I take your questions. All right, Andrea Mitchell. Yes, ma'am.
Before I ask you about Ukraine and the possibility of sanctions and strong support from this department for sanctions, given what the president said about his impatience with Vladimir Putin after the secretary's conversations with Sergei Lavrov.
Yes.
Let me just say that for the workforce, for those who are going to be leaving foreign service as well as civil service, many of whom I and my colleagues have worked with for many, many years, if not decades, to be told that, as you just said, you're going to make it relevant and effective. You're basically saying that they are not relevant or effective.
Well, I'm glad you
thousands of
bring
people
that
will
up,
be losing
because I
their
think
jobs.
that is, Andrea, it's the antithesis of what I've said. That this is not a matter of the individual being targeted or an individual not being right. This is about being able to be effective due to the size of the organization and to the structure of the organization. This involves, as you all receive material and a new org chart and all these other kinds of wonky things, that this is about an entity that has grown unsustainable over the years with elements related to the Cold War and other elements that we have moved beyond but still stayed. An aspect that you have a size and people working on things that are not within the framework of the modern age or of what we want to accomplish, and certainly the decision that the American people made last year, that Donald Trump's vision about what the world should be in the context of how America can be great again and what we can contribute as Americans, that when something is too large to operate, too bureaucratic to actually function and to deliver projects or action, it has to change. And it's not the fault of the people who were misled effectively by certain administrations that grew this department into being irrelevant. We must be able to contribute to a world that we've seen in the modern age can destroy everyone's lives. Our department, the State Department, can make the difference with diplomacy, and Donald Trump is the highlight of that. So I will repeat, as I said, this is not a statement about the individuals who are affected in this building. It is a statement about a structure that needs to adapt, that must be smaller in order for us to be relevant, but even more than relevant, effective, quick. We've seen, even just in these past 5 months, how quickly things can change and what can happen when you move at the speed of relevancy. So no, I would, and it's unfortunate, Andrea, that you would take that point and move that point, because nothing could be further from the truth. And it's exciting for the people who are here and the people who've committed their years to the State Department to be able to watch it become even more powerful through diplomacy and making the world safer again and better again and healthier again. They can be proud of that because they've contributed to that, and we're determined to make sure we continue it as well. All right. Yeah, well,
am I able
you
to ask my
you have a question about, yes,
I have
go
a
ahead.
question about the importance of sanctions right now at this pivotal moment for Ukraine, given the president's stated impatience with what he saw as misleading understandings,
of course,
from the Russian president.
Well, the Secretary made some comments earlier today in Malaysia, and in part he said, our strategy is to continue to engage all the parties that are involved in finding an outcome to this conflict. I echoed to Lavrov what the President said, both the disappointment and frustration at the lack of progress in peace talks or in a path forward. We hope that that can change, and we're going to stay involved where we see opportunities to make a difference. He also said that the Russians shared some ideas that he said he would take back to the president, and of course we will see what he says. The president is the guiding hand of these kinds of decisions. And other than that, of course, this is a meeting involved with diplomatic discussions, which I will not get into the details with. All right, Humaira.
Hi, Tammy. Thank you.
Sure.
Just to quickly go back to the reorganization, you said it's moving into the implementation phase. Can you say when the first RIF notices will go out? Is it tomorrow? And apparently the judge wanted to see the RIF plans. That was a demand from the court yesterday. Is that going to slow down the sending of the RIF notices?
First, of course, I won't comment on anything that's moving through the legal system or the requests of the legal system. And also, I will not, other than saying that the Supreme Court decision has allowed us to commence. And that's what we're doing. But I think it's fair to say that with everything else that happens here, it will happen quickly. This is not going to be an extended wait for people who are listening and watching in this building, or fellow Americans at home and around the world. This will happen quickly. We understand that there has been a delay, not to our interests, but because of the courts. It's been difficult when you need to get something done for the benefit of everyone. So it will be quickly. I cannot give you the timing, and again, won't discuss any legal aspects that may have arisen as well.
Okay, two quick things.
Yes,
one
ma'am.
is on Russia, and the other one is about Davidkov. Follow up to Andrea's question. Are you able to tell us at all about this? What's new about these ideas or comments that is going to open a path for peace, which the administration has been trying to do?
Well, what the Secretary said was that he would bring the new ideas to the President. We didn't say that they were going to open a path for peace. So don't read into the nature. And that is in the process of the diplomacy that the Secretary undertakes, that he's in a conversation with Lavrov as an example, conversations the President would have with Zelensky, the President of Ukraine as an example. These are things that are important to realize. They're not static events that stand on their own. They are part of a fluid dynamic of conversations and negotiations. We are, as the President has said and the Secretary has said and engaged in, we'll speak with everyone, because every step makes a difference in the decision that you have to make in the end. And that's where we're at.
The final thing is, an Israeli airstrike hit Palestinians near a medical center in Gaza today. It killed 10 children and 6 adults. I'm wondering if there's been any outreach from the U.S. government to the Israeli authorities to take any steps to ensure civilians aren't killed in this.
Well, I can't speak to that particular event. I would direct you to the country of Israel for answers in that regard. But we have said repeatedly that we decry the death of innocents. It's why we do what we do in so many countries around the world. It's part of what informs our action. And at the same time, we know that it's a war, and we stand by Israel, to say the least. And we also know that Israel, when it is due, investigates, and we will wait to see what their action will be, and we'll keep you up to date, obviously. Yes, Jen.
Follow up on that.
Tammy,
Sure.
there used to be mechanisms in this building to look into incidents of civilian harm using U.S. weapons. Do those mechanisms still exist, and have you come to any conclusions with regard to Gaza?
Well, I can tell you again that the choices that we're going to make diplomatically in reaction to another country's actions or the nature of what's happening around the world, I won't discuss at this podium, or what our process is. But I can tell you that what I've experienced, and I think what all of you have seen over the years, is that we have mechanisms like that because we care about those issues. We have a constant communication with our allies around the world, and that is also something that we see benefiting the agenda of the President and the work of the Secretary of State. So clearly, we care about these issues. We're acting on them actively every day. And that will be one, obviously. I can update you on that, I'm sure, as we move forward.
And then quickly on GHF, my colleagues and I reported that there were a number of internal concerns about funding GHF that were raised prior to the approval. Can you say whether the Secretary was aware of those concerns and why that approval was granted despite these?
Well, yeah, I know we've had that conversation before. First of all, I can give you an update. There's now 69 million meals that have been distributed to date at 4 distribution centers, all while preventing Hamas looting, which is, of course, an incredible feat. It should be commended and supported. I think most of us do. We also call on other aid agencies and the UN to participate in this system. It has been implemented and it works. And of course, this is part of the creative solutions that the President has asked for regarding that region. When it comes to the activity that is happening, or allegations that are made, or the framework of what we're trying to achieve, I think that we're looking at a dynamic where it is a war zone. It's the same issues that we've been discussing about the task of getting humanitarian aid to people who need it. The world has clamored for this, and it's happening. And I think at this point, when we look at the nature of the number of meals that have been delivered and the efforts that have to be taken to save those lives, it is to be commended. It's not, certainly nothing will be perfect. I've said this before, that it can't be perfect because it is an unnatural, obscene environment. And for people looking for perfection in a war zone like that, being terrorized by terrorists, to demand perfection or a new normal of this environment is unacceptable. Nothing will be enough. And so that's why we've got to have a solution and an end, a durable ceasefire and a durable peace, because otherwise the suffering and the carnage continues, and that's what we're working to end. All right. Yes, Alex.
Thank you. I'll go back to Ukraine. I'll press you a little bit more, if I may. You said the Secretary will inform the President about the new ideas. At what point do you guys are planning to inform the Ukrainians?
I'm sorry, what are we?
The Ukrainians. I mean, they are in the dark. So are you going to
inform them? Obviously, I'm not going to speak about every conversation or connection we have with partners that we're working with every day, all the time. The communications don't just happen when you hear about it in the news or if there's one phone call that's talked about. These are, in every region that is required, special envoys and discussions and help regarding ceasefires, or at least finding where you can find some common ground, is a 24/7 operation with innumerable people working on it. So when it comes to the Ukrainians, our friends, President Zelensky had a fabulous phone call with President Trump. That was discussed somewhat publicly. Certainly when it comes to the issue of armaments and defensive weapons, essentially, that was discussed publicly, and of course we have news in that regard. So you might not hear it in the news. It doesn't mean that we're not talking quite often, if not all the time, with our Ukrainian friends.
Thank you. And going back to Andrea's point earlier, we all heard just 2 days ago from the president that he expressed his frustration of Putin, saying that he was lying to him. And then we also have seen past few days, Russians have been engaging in record-breaking attacks, Kiev and other cities. Why do you think Lavrov deserves a secretary-level meeting, given all this background?
Well, again, a lot of people didn't think Putin should be talked with at all during the last administration. He wasn't talked to for 3 years. That's not a way that you can come to some kind of understanding or agreement or an effort to stop any carnage and the suffering. You've got to talk to everyone at any point when it comes to those who are involved in the situation. To say nothing of the leverage that we have with the ideas and the power of President Trump, and clearly the effectiveness of Secretary Rubio in the midst of this. At the same time, the escalating Russian attacks, the president's been clear, they're abhorrent. I can say to you here that we strongly condemn Russia's escalating attacks on Ukraine and extend our deepest condolences to the victims and families of those killed. Every week, we see reports of Russia setting new records for the scale of its aerial attacks. Every nation wants to have records, but not that kind. As Secretary Rubio said today, we've seen an acceleration of attacks. President Trump's #1 interest is to stop people from dying and the destruction that's ongoing every single day. He is going to do everything he can within his power to end this war and any other war he has a chance to end. We're going to continue to work at it. We understand that these things take time and patience, but obviously we are also frustrated that more progress has not been made. And I, again, would remind you that that's an opinion regarding the state of situation now in the midst of ongoing conversations that are conveyed publicly. And while I won't speak or characterize the Secretary's conversations with Lavrov or any other person, it's clear that this is part of that movement toward making decisions about what is necessary to stop this madness. All right. Yes, Tom.
Is there any update on Steve Witkoff's travel? He'd said in the cabinet meeting earlier this week, I think by the end of the week, he expects to go to Doha. So can you confirm whether or not that's happening? And just on on what the president was saying last week, which was with quite a lot of certainty expecting a deal this week, what we should sort of read into the raising of expectations. Do you think that it's that close that now there will be a breakthrough by next week, for example?
Well, on your question about Special Envoy Witkoff, the answer is no. I know, it's a very short word with 2 letters. I think it's the same in 7 languages. Yeah, well, I have no update for you on his travel.
But he might be traveling, but you don't have enough.
My comment or lack thereof is not a negative to your question that he's not traveling. The answer is that I don't have an update for you. I'm sorry about that. Regarding, of course, the potential of a ceasefire, the president made clear that he was optimistic. And he's considering his lifelong experience, but certainly the experience over the last 5 months, and even certainly through his first term, with the Abraham Accords, et cetera, and the nature of what's been going on in the Middle East, all of us understand that this is a difficult process. So when you are getting close, when you know the nature of the monsters in this case that you're dealing with, you have a general sense, and especially with how the Middle East has changed dramatically because of the action of the United States a few weekends ago, that the playing field is different. So his optimism is based on the multitude of things that he knows that I don't, and I think that we should maintain the awareness of his opinion and the optimism that he has. He doesn't say it very often, so when he does, we need to take it seriously, but we do know that, of course, once again, this is an active zone, and we've got the best people working on it, and that's what we pledge to the United States.
Can I just come back with one other issue, which is about the town of Taibe in the West Bank, in which there are around 300 US citizens, a Christian town. The priest there said that it's come under sustained settler attack. There was an arson attack on one of the holy sites at the beginning of this week, and they feared that the church there could have caught fire. It was extinguished. Is there, and I have contacted the Jerusalem embassy, but has there been any outreach from the US embassy to the town? Is there any support for the US citizens there?
Well, I can't comment on the actions we've taken, even if they're phone calls. What I do want to note, of course, is the decrying we have made of civilians, innocent people being hurt in this process. We also, so obviously we're concerned when we hear about anyone being targeted, let alone Christians in this case. that the president has made it clear his feelings on that issue writ large. And it's difficult. All of this, it's war. It's war manifesting in very different contexts within that region, but also other places around the world. President Trump has long established, and I know Secretary Rubio concurs, that protecting Christians is a priority, as seen through his executive order against anti-Christian bias. We do condemn, so there's no confusion, criminal violence by any party in the West Bank and support actions to ensure all civilians, including Christian civilians, remain safe. In the meantime, though, also we would refer you to the government of Israel regarding security incidents and the IDF posture in the West Bank in this regard. All right, yes.
I mean, just circling back to GHF, we do know that in this latest round of ceasefire negotiations, Hamas has been insisting that GHF end its operations.
Of course they are.
Do you see any scenario, of course, given that you're talking about how
Hamas
successful
has been enriched by previous aid efforts by looting. They steal this material. They steal the trucks. They not only enrich themselves. You notice it's the highlight of the last generations that aid gets in there and is taken by the people, causing the destruction and the pain. They make money. They use those resources to build more weapons. They buy more weapons. They're certainly not stealing it to get it to the Gazan people faster. That's not why they're taking it. They're taking it for themselves, so they have obviously a few square meals every day. But there's money, and it makes there's many. It is an industrial complex, an aid industrial complex. But in that dynamic through a war zone, we've known that the enemy is the only one benefiting from that, and that's why this change. And of course, well, Hamas doesn't like it. Good. That's perhaps an indication that it has ruined that pipeline of money and support. You have people with the best of intentions of getting aid in, but when you see it's going to the people you're trying to stop, we have a duty to change the strategy, and that is what has occurred. So there is, of course, this obviously is working. It is important, as I noted before, for other aid organizations and other efforts. We now have a platform, if you will, at least a template of how to do this without enriching and facilitating the carnage itself.
So given your answer there, is it safe to say that the U.S. and Israel see it as imperative that GHF be allowed to continue operating in Gaza under the terms of any ceasefire agreement?
Well, I think that it's when you have the success, and I would say any entity that was able to break through that wall, that is able to get 69 million meals to the people in need, without the enemy looting it and taking it and benefiting, is a framework that must be supported. It doesn't mean that someone else also can't join in on the nature of this supplying. That's, I think, what the difference is. We've finally seen a new idea that works. So separate from the entity that's doing it, right now there's one, because everyone else said don't, or we don't support you, or you can't do it, or yes, we want aid to go in, but not by those guys. It is now undeniable. This is the format that works. And others, now it's an open dynamic of what it is that's making it work. Others should implement it. Others should come in. There is no excuse to stand on the sidelines, either because of envy or because of a political consideration, because all of this transcends those things. It's about feeding people, feeding those children. And this is a dynamic, obviously, that works, and we hope will continue to work. Saeed.
Thank you, Tammy. Two quick things.
Yes, sir.
On Albanese,
Yes.
on the timing of imposing these sanctions, does it have anything to do with her tweet the day before that basically, slamming Greece, France, and Italy for allowing Netanyahu's plane over their airspace when they are signatories to the Rome protocol? I mean, she's talking about technical things. Did that have anything to do with
No,
it?
this has been, and it's a good question because it highlights that this is not an action action based on one action or one thing. This has been a long-term issue. And what I will say to you is today, and just more details, the United States is imposing sanctions on UN Human Rights Council Special Rapporteur Francesca Albanese for her abuse of that role to directly engage in ICC actions against Israeli officials. In recent weeks, she has also targeted U.S. companies in an unacceptable campaign of political and economic warfare. As the President's Executive Order, EO 14203, makes clear, the ICC's actions set a dangerous precedent for lawfare that endangers our national security and foreign policy and infringes on the sovereignty of the United States. The President declared a national emergency under the EO that emphasizes, quote, the United States will impose tangible and significant consequences on those responsible for the ICC's transgressions, which would include blocking of property and visa restrictions. The United States will take whatever actions we deem necessary and appropriate to protect our sovereignty, to protect Israel, and any other U.S. ally from illegitimate actions by the ICC. That's why that occurred.
Okay, and one
Yes, sir.
quick follow-up on Tom's
Yes.
West Bank thing. Now, we have seen really, a spike in settler violence in the West Bank. And, whether it's in places like Masafer Yatta, where they basically, there was a big film about it and so on that won the Oscar and so on. But also in other places, in the Jordan Valley and so on. And my question, who is in the State Department following up on these incidents? I mean, how do people, including Palestinian Americans that live in my village, for instance, some of my relatives and so on, who do they go to when they say we have been subject of attack by settlers and so on?
Well, obviously, first of all, Israel, of course, it's the government of Israel who they go to. Israel is an ally. But when you say who in this building works on this, I'm going to answer that. This is, and I've said this before, a lot of people don't know how the State Department works. It's not a bunch of people in suites, typing things down. Some people are. I do that sometimes, but I don't have a suite. But it's thousands of people, you guys. It is thousands of people in bureaus that are assigned to regions who work literally, and they have, people assigned different times of the day and the night who are working all the time looking at the nature of what's occurring all around the world based on where their region might be. And of course, this region, involving, of course, the Middle East, is very busy. I see them almost every day, and during the briefing days, we sit down and I get briefed by these people, these experts, who watch everything that's happening, who are talking to everyone, who know what's occurring, who know where the policy is moving, who know what the secretary is thinking, or at least what his trajectory might be. I then blend into that with what I know from leadership as I work in this building. So when we say, who cares? The American people care. The State Department cares as a collection of the American people who have committed to this work specifically, which is not easy and does not make anyone rich, because they care about the country and they care about what happens around the world in the relationship of making sure America stays safer, more secure, and more prosperous. That's who cares, and that's who's working on it. Yes, sir, right there behind. Yes, sir.
Just a follow-up on Saeed's question as well. Is the Office of the U.S. Security Coordinator in Jerusalem still working under General Michael Flynn, I believe? And because recently there were a few reports indicating that there was a visit to Nur Shams refugee camp.
Let's stop right there. This is moving into gossip and a report or reports of something. We can save everyone's time because we're moving out of my time. But I will not comment on things that you've seen in a paper somewhere or reports of wanting gossip or my speculation. That won't happen. I will have it taken back, your question, in the event there's something we can get to you. But we're going to move on from that. Yes, sir, go ahead. No, we are going on. That was your chance, sir. No, sir, right there. Thank you.
On the optimism expressed by the administration on the potential ceasefire in Gaza, and
Yes.
particularly the distribution of humanitarian aid,
Yes.
are there plans in place to stop the firing on Palestinians trying to get that aid?
Well, if we've been demanding for a long time, there's one group there, it's just horrible, that will not stop shooting people or lay down their weapons. Hamas. They could lay down their weapons. There are fewer of them, we will have to admit, since the beginning of this war. And they also won't release the hostages. So part of the ceasefire plan, of course, you have a ceasefire when people stop shooting. So if we're looking at the nature of if there's a plan in that framework, and also, of course, what Secretary Rubio has noted, that there is no place in the future for Hamas. Hamas should not exist. It cannot exist. So in that context, yes, the firing on anyone who is attempting, who's an innocent civilian, who's attempting to get something or just living their lives, the Gazan people have been the first victims of this horror, as they have been controlled for generations by Hamas, by terrorists, by those who don't care about them. So the peace that President Trump wants and Secretary Rubio is working for aims, to say the least, of ending that across the board, no matter who might be doing it, but certainly those who are controlling that framework now and the ones with the weapons, and that would be Hamas. Yes, at the end of the row here.
Anthony Mershak from MTV Lebanon.
Right,
so
welcome
we're
aboard.
asking about
Thank you, sir.
Beirut. Could you please clarify the Special Envoy Tom Barak recent comment stating that Hezbollah has a political wing? Had the U.S. position changed regarding the distinction between Hezbollah's political and military branches?
I have a few things I can say to you. First of all, our position has not changed. Hezbollah is a designated terrorist organization, and we do not distinguish between its political or armed wings. As Ambassador Barak said while in Beirut, Lebanon must utilize this moment to make progress, and that includes progress on disarming Hezbollah. And at the same time, Ambassador Barak, he's the ambassador to Turkey, as well as, of course, our special envoy for Syria. I'm not going to characterize his diplomatic conversations in that regard at all, but he has said publicly that he has been very satisfied with the initial response by the Lebanese government, but now it's noted that they're working on details in this regard. And on the security front, the Lebanese armed forces have made progress on disarming Hezbollah in the south, but there is still more to be done. So as he said, Ambassador Barak, while in Beirut, Lebanon must utilize this moment to make progress. And we do not want to see Hezbollah or any other terrorist group in Lebanon recover their ability to commit violence and threaten the security in Lebanon or in Israel. And I will take one more. You, sir, in the white shirt. Thank you.
Other journalists from Azerbaijan, and recently Secretary Rubio said he hopes to see a peace agreement between Armenia and Azerbaijan soon. And today, Azerbaijan President Ilham Aliyev and Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan met in Abu Dhabi. Is there any connection between Secretary Rubio's remarks and this meeting, and does Washington currently have a concrete plan or proposal to support a peace agreement between Armenia and Azerbaijan? And my second question is...
Let me answer that,
Okay.
because, get me while it's right here on the front, and I will take your second question, and then that's likely going to be it, because we have a thing. First, regarding the peace process, the United States supports those efforts to promote peace and stability in the South Caucasus. We also are tracking the referenced press reports in general, and don't have any additional information to share. But as you know also, I think the Trump administration and Secretary Rubio's approach speaks for itself. And his remarks at the cabinet meeting is that this is an administration working for peace. They will do and go wherever they need to go. It is not waned. It is because it is the core of the commitment to making America great again is improving, of course, the condition of the world around us. And your second question, sir.
Second question is, for several months now, there has been no U.S. ambassador appointed to Azerbaijan. Could you please clarify if this delay is due to procedural and technical reasons, or if there are any political consideration behind it, and how does the U.S. government view the importance of having a full ambassadorial presence in Baku at this time?
Very, very good question. I don't have the answer to that right now, but we will take it back and get it back to you in the full context in which you answered it. All right, you guys, that's it right now. Thank you very much. I will see you again next week, but there will be, of course, updates on everything we're working on throughout today and tomorrow. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Thank you.
democracy is only as strong as our willingness to fight for it. And today, America's democracy stood.
This is a great day for the country. We're going to certify the election of Donald J. Trump as the 47th president. That's our focus today.
I intend to resign as party leader, as prime minister, after the party selects its next leader through a robust, nationwide, competitive process.
Drama in Canada, not so much drama here in Washington. Hello, I'm Robert Costa, and welcome to America Decides. A winter storm here in Washington, burying the nation's capital in a lot of snow, but it was a serene political scene today on Capitol Hill, especially compared to 4 years ago after that violent mob stormed the Capitol. Trump supporters taking the Hill to protest President Biden's win in the congressional certification. But 4 years later, today, lawmakers gathered inside a peaceful Capitol for a joint session of Congress. Vice President Kamala Harris overseeing the certification of her defeat to President-elect Trump, and she certified his victory, making it official. Let's start tonight with CBS News congressional correspondent Scott MacFarlane on Capitol Hill. Scott, good to have you here. We've both covered January 6th and its aftermath for 4 years now. It was a different kind of scene today. As a reporter, how did you see the reality of governing and democracy play out today with the certification, as well as the echoes of what happened 4 years ago?
It was just as you described, Bob. It was serene. That's how it's supposed to happen. It's supposed to only take 30 minutes, be ministerial, be low-key. It's supposed to be the kind of thing that would make a poli-sci professor fall asleep because it's so dull and so dry. But don't mistake what you see on the screen there as the temperature behind the scenes. There is a tension that is palpable, that you can feel when you talk to sources, when you talk to staffers who were here that day, when you talk to police officers. This is all happening beneath a proverbial storm cloud, which still hangs over the Capitol. There is still resentment that there's been a whitewashing of January 6th, a denialism of the insurrection, including by the leaders of the House and the Senate who held no vigil today honoring the victims, who've yet to hang the plaque to honor police heroes that is required under law here at the Capitol for January 6th, and who did not issue statements today marking the 4-year turnout of January 6th and marking the victims. Bob, there is still a palpable frustration.
Well, there might be, for sure, among some of the lawmakers you've spoken to. But I'm curious, Scott, when you're talking to Democrats and perhaps some Republicans, maybe the traditional Republicans who aren't in love with President-elect Trump, how do they reckon with the fact that 4 years ago there was an attack on the U.S. Capitol following a rally led by then-President Trump, but 4 years later he had a commanding victory in the November election? Republicans hold majorities, albeit narrow majorities, in the House and the Senate, and he now is about to head back into the White House with what his party would argue is a mandate to govern and to use his power, to not be rebuked, but to be given power again and congressional majorities. How are your sources dealing with that dynamic, which is very real here in this country?
I think that's right. I mean, there's a mandate given to Donald Trump from the voters, and I think both parties are acknowledging that declaratively right now. But on the issue of January 6th, on this day, when it's uniquely relevant, when it's uniquely part of the conversation, the contrast in messaging is about as Venus and Mars as you can get, Bob. If you line up your local congressman, if he or she's a Democrat, you are likely to find he or she issued a statement marking the 4 years since January 6, 2021, the police heroes and the victims. If your congressman or woman is a Republican, you look up what he or she said today, it's likely he or she made a statement about their pride in certifying an election for Donald Trump. They're just on different wavelengths on what's important to talk about today. And if they're not agreeing on the topic, if they're not agreeing on the points that are relevant for the public on this day, at this moment, that shows you how polarized Congress is, no matter how serene and calm and by the book today's proceedings were.
Let's listen, Scott, to something that's pretty notable today. As you noted, that it's ceremonial ministerial role for the vice president, but whether it's Richard Nixon in 1961, Al Gore in 2001. These are moments that are often painful for the vice president, who has just been defeated in an election, to have to oversee the certification of their recent rival. But Vice President Harris did just that today with a calmness, according to my sources who were on the floor watching her, a steadiness. Let's listen to what she had to say.
I do believe very strongly that America's democracy is only as strong as our willingness to fight for it. Every single person, their willingness to fight for and respect the importance of our democracy. Otherwise, it is very fragile, and it will not be able to withstand moments of crisis. And today, America's democracy stood.
Scott, final thoughts on her and this moment?
Yeah, there are a number of House Democrats that came up to me and said how proud they were of how Vice President Harris handled this, but also any number of folks who were here that day, barricaded in offices, police who were wounded, who say they're just grateful it's peaceful and that nobody tried anything on this day.
Scott MacFarlane, as ever, reporting on January 6th, Congress and American democracy. We appreciate you, Scott, and your insights on this day of all days. Meanwhile, CBS News political reporter Caitlin Huey-Burns joins us now from West Palm Beach, Florida. Caitlin, good to be with you. You're in a bit of a warmer climate. Lucky you. I know it's not easy to be on the road, but we appreciate you being there, and I'm at least glad you got some nice weather. Caitlin, let's begin with Susie Wiles, the incoming White House chief of staff. She rarely speaks to the press. This is someone whom President-elect Trump has referred to as, quote, the ice maiden, someone who's pretty tough in his view behind the scenes and staving away chaos inside Trump's inner circle. Let's pull up on the screen what she said to Axios and to reporter Mark Caputo in a rare interview. She said, quote, I have every hope that the 47 administration will not have the same number of attempts to put sand in the gears. And what's the mood down there in Mar-a-Lago and around Mar-a-Lago about Susie Wiles and her determination to not have a repeat of what happened in 2017 when, to be frank, it seemed like every Friday night someone else was being fired from the White House?
Yeah, Bob, good to be with you. I know I drew the short straw in coming here to South Florida during a snowstorm, so hope you guys are staying nice and safe and warm in that snow globe up there. But you're right, Susie Wiles has been someone who has stayed behind the scenes. You'll remember from the election night victory, Trump called her up to say some words, and she didn't want any of the spotlight. And she gave this interview to Mark Caputo, a longtime Florida-based reporter, great reporter. And in it, she really stressed kind of what she wants this White House to look like and to run under her leadership, and wants it to mirror how it went on the campaign. And notable in that interview, she says she doesn't, if anybody is trying to be a solo act or think only about themselves, they are not welcome in that White House. And from my reporting, talking to staffers on the campaign, many of them are coming to the White House because of Susie Wiles and wanting to be under her leadership again. When she was announced, the staff was really ecstatic about this. And something to understand about her too, it's not so much that she really holds the reins tight over Trump. She lets him lean into his instincts, and a lot of those on the campaign believed that his instincts were correct. It's more so that there is a high level of trust between Trump and Susie Wiles that existed throughout the campaign and is expected to exist in this White House. A level of trust that, we hadn't really seen with previous chiefs of staff. And that, had shown through on the campaign as well.
What else is going on down in Florida? There's so much attention now in Washington, Caitlin, to the snow, as you mentioned, to the congressional certification, to the late President Jimmy Carter and his upcoming visit, his casket to Washington, where thousands of Americans will certainly file through the Capitol. What about down in Florida? What's the chatter down there? Open your notebook.
Yeah, Bob, what really stands out to me is how kind of peaceful and quiet it is here as well, and what a difference 4 years and an election victory makes. Donald Trump has been at his resort in Mar-a-Lago sending out messages on Truth Social. He's actually expected to go to Washington, D.C. later this week to attend the funeral of the late Jimmy Carter, the former president. And then later in the week, he's expected to, and throughout the weekend, have various members of the Republican conference, Republican lawmakers down here to his Florida resort, his Mar-a-Lago resort, to talk about the agenda ahead, various factions of the House GOP. And that is kind of a signal of, how he wants, or how he's placing a premium on governing. Remember, he has a House majority, but a very, very narrow one. We saw the consequences of that through the past few weeks on not only the speaker fight, but on the budget resolution as well. And they're also looking forward down here in Mar-a-Lago to confirmation hearings, which are expected to start as early as next week with some of those high-profile picks for Trump's cabinet. And there's a feeling of confidence in these picks that may not have existed, maybe a month or so ago. There's a confidence that these picks are going to be confirmed.
Caitlin Huey-Burns in Florida reporting for CBS. Thank you. President Biden visiting New Orleans today after last week's deadly New Year's Day attack. He's meeting with the victims' families. Our Omar Villafranca is on Bourbon Street with the latest on that sad investigation.
The ATF confirms that they found explosive substances in Jabbar's home in Houston, but also at the Airbnb he rented here in New Orleans. They also shared video that they say was recorded by Jabbar on a camera that was on glasses like this one. They were Meta glasses, and they showed Jabbar riding down the street on a bicycle on Bourbon Street here in the French Quarter. They also told us that he came to New Orleans and this area in October and November of 2024, just months before the attack. Now, the president and the first lady, they're going to meet with victims and family members, but we understand they're also going to be talking to city officials about security. Why security now? Because Mardi Gras season is started. As you hear behind me right now, Bourbon Street is alive, and it is well, and it is Mardi Gras season. So the first parades that are coming through are not big, small walking parades, but there is going to be increased security, according to the mayor, for those small parades. Robert?
Omar Villafranca, thank you.
5
Election
million,
certification, former President Jimmy Carter and Donald
That's
Trump's
cool.
inauguration, all of that coming up ahead. We'll speak with a national security contributor for CBS, Sam Vinograd, about the state of security in the district as Washington deals with all of these upcoming events. You're watching America Decides. Officials in Washington, D.C. are now amplifying security across the nation's capital for the series of prominent events happening this month.
Here we go. Look at these trades, y'all. Today's close and FMC and the earnings was the bomb. Made the most money I've made in a very, very long time. Take a peek here. Caught all of this, actually. Go to the settings. Right? Put those trades on back there. Held it all the way through. Short 185, 207. Just insane. Well, how you look at it. 21,156,000 in the paper trade account. Trading the paper today because y'all look up what happened today with the prop firms, with Ninja Trader. That's where my brokerage account is. Everything was all jacked. You couldn't do anything. So I would have made the most money of my life in my brokerage account today had I been able to trade it. But anyway, look at this V, man. Look at this. Kaboom, boom. Kaboosh, kaboosh. What you go for. I started off this morning with, what, 15 million? You can go back on this video and look. I've been filming all day. 3 hours and 47 minutes. Watch this video. Filming all day on a Wednesday. And, yeah. 15.5 million to 21 million, back to 14 million, back to 21 million, just letting it ride its course. All right, we're done here. Turn the recording off.